Welcome to the Millis 2021 Springtown Meeting. I'm your moderator, Donna Cabibbo. I declare that the warrant has been duly posted, published, and that the reading of the warrant is hereby waived. I ask that you all now please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The COVID pandemic has shown us all how important community is over the last year. The year ahead will present many challenges as we start to return to a new normal. But I'm hopeful that our resilience and strength as individuals in a community will continue to show us a positive and constructive way forward. I ask that we now, at this time, observe a moment of silence to remember the people that we have lost over the last year and reflect upon the changes, good and bad, that the pandemic has brought. Thank you. At this time, the town meeting would like to recognize James McCaffrey for his long public service to the town of Millis. I ask that the members of our legislative delegation present here today, Senator Roush, Rep. Dooley, and Rep. Linsky, step forward to say a few words.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's wonderful to be here with you and see everyone engaging in democracy out in the bright sunshine. And it is a particular privilege to be here to recognize the incredible service that Jim McCaffrey has provided to this town over the past several decades. I know you have many things to do today, so I'll be very brief and just extend my personal gratitude to you, my friend, for your work, for our partnership, and for all that you have done for the town of Millis. And it is my distinct privilege to provide you with this official citation from the Massachusetts State Senate, which I will read. Commonwealth of Massachusetts State Senate official citation. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Jim McCaffrey in recognition of your years of steadfast dedication and service to the town and residents of Millis in all of your many roles. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted by the Clerk of the Senate with the official state seal. It is indeed signed by the Senate President, the Clerk, and myself, dated today, May 1st. Congratulations and best of luck.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm David Linsky, and I'm one of your two state representatives. I want to thank you for participating in the legislative process today. Town meeting is an incredibly important process, and all of the people of Millis, thank you for being here and participating in the process. Local government has more effect on your lives than even the President of the United States does. Local government decides whether or not your streets get plowed or fixed, whether or not your kids have a good school to go to, whether or not your water is clean, whether or not basic public services are completed. And that is incredibly important. Local government also cannot run without volunteers. And Jim McCaffrey is the epitome of a person who stood up and volunteered to help his community. When I was first elected in 1999, 22 years ago, Jim McCaffrey was on the Board of Selectmen. He served several more years on the Board of Selectmen. Then, when Millis needed a town moderator, he volunteered to be the town moderator. And then when Millis needed a steady hand on the Board of Selectmen, he unretired and came back to serve you, the people of Millis. We all owe Jim McCaffrey a debt of gratitude. Jim, thank you for your service. Thank you for standing up when it was needed. And thank you for representing all of us so well here in the town of Millis. You are someone that all of us can look up to, and we owe you a great deal. In recognition of that, Representative Dooley and I offered a resolution to the House of Representatives that they passed unanimously, and it just goes very simply, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Jim McCaffrey in recognition of his outstanding service and dedication to the town of Millis. Given this first day of May 2021 at the State House, Ron Mariano, Speaker of the House, and they were offered by myself, David Linsky, and Sean Dooley, your state representatives. Thank you, Jim McCaffrey.
It's always tough following the chairman and the senator because they said it all. But I just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to Jim. He's been a friend, a mentor, a guiding light. When you have a question about the town of Millis, his institutional knowledge and his passion for the town of Millis really knows no bounds. You're a true public servant. You're a true friend, and you truly put Millis first. And this town is so lucky to have had you for so many years. And I know it's not like you're going away. I feel sometimes like we're saying a eulogy. But thank you so much for everything. We were going through the list, and doesn't seem to be a committee that Jim hasn't stepped up and served at some point in time throughout his history in the town of Millis. So on behalf of all of us and the House of Representatives and all the people of Millis, thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for everything you have done. Thank you, sir.
Jim, quick photo op.
You want to
Bring the big
bring your things.
Oh, bring the big one. Yeah, that one. No.
Just a quick pic. Very quickly, so we can move forward. Come on, Jim.
I guess you can tell this was not rehearsed.
I know you love all this attention.
And Jim does not like all this attention, so. Okay, just one quick
If
pic.
Jim knew about this, he wouldn't be here.
Okay, just over here, if we can just, and then we're done. Great.
Behind every great man is a great woman. Where's his wife?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Thanks. I would also like to recognize Kathy Lannon for her 22-plus years of service on the Board of Health. Kathy will be honored at the Select Board meeting on Monday, May 3rd at 8 p.m., and I encourage you to attend via Zoom. Thank you very much for your service, Kathy. So I just need to ask, is there anybody here for the first time at town meeting? Excellent. It's nice to see people, new faces. Oh, I'm sorry, as you said, we hadn't rehearsed this, and I missed a step. So we have the Board of Selectmen just want to say a quick word regarding Jim.
Good afternoon. We just wanted to say thank you to Jim for all his years of service and all his guidance and mentorship. He will be greatly missed on the board, and I feel very grateful to have been able to work with him. Thank you.
We're all very grateful for the service Jim has put in. Jim, if you would step up here for just a moment.
He's got like a pack.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks.
We really want to thank you for all the service you have put in and all the time you
Okay.
put together. Thank you very much.
Oh, should we read it?
We'll read it, 2 seconds.
Okay. Okay. Someone taking a picture?
Town of Millis presents this to James J. McCaffrey in recognition and sincere appreciation of your distinguished volunteer service, serving 12 years as a member of the Select Board and 13 years as the town moderator for the citizens of Millis. May 2021. McCaffrey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say something very quickly? Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. It's been truly my privilege to work for the citizens of Millis over these many years, and I think I'll continue to find a committee or two to work with you. And my last word is, at the end of the day, what's most important to me as an individual is when I go home and I ask somebody, how did I do? And she says, you did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for indulging us and allowing us to honor Jim. It's really been a pleasure to work with him. So here we are. We've worked really hard to have this done safely. I know that outside brings its own issues, like the wind today. So if I have to run off because something flies away, please, sorry about that. I have a few just quick announcements to make. The restrooms are out this way to my left, in through the cafeteria, and then you'll see signage that brings you to the restrooms. If you wish to speak to a motion, please rise and proceed to the microphones, and the microphone in the aisle. We've marked out 6-foot distance, so please try to observe that. We highly recommend you wearing your mask if you get up to speak. Once you've been recognized by the moderator, please state your name and address. All remarks are to be directed to the moderator. Please keep your remarks succinct and on topic. Members are encouraged to keep their remarks to 2 minutes per trip to the microphone. Today, we have a few articles that will engender lively discussion. Please be respectful in your comments and respectful of time meeting members' time. The microphones will be disinfected after each use. Okay. So I have a favorite phrase. The world is run by those who show up, and I commend you all for showing up on this beautiful afternoon to conduct the town's business. We are here to consider 31 articles presented on the warrant. Okay. And my pages are out of order, so now I'm going to sound like I'm backtracking, but that's okay. Before we move forward, I just would like to introduce the town officials. So to my right, we have our select board members, Jim McCaffrey, who's chair, vice chair Peter Germain, clerk Erin Underhill. We have our town administrator, Mike Kaczynski, our town finance director, Carol Johnston, and our town council, Jay Tellerman, as well as our town clerk, Lisa Jane Harden. Okay? So the Finance Committee reviews all articles and budget proposals and presents their recommendations to you. My job is simply to preside over the town meeting to ensure fair and orderly and open consideration of the warrant articles. Your role is to consider the articles, debate them, and decide how to deal with the articles for consideration through voting. You, as the town meeting members, are the decision makers. You all received a package, and in that package was a copy of the warrant, some other documents that might be pertinent today, as well as a list of common motions that people make and some directions. So I hope you've all had a chance to review those. Now I'll call upon the Chair of the Finance Committee, Peter Berube, to address you regarding their deliberations and introduce his committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Berube. Also on the Finance Committee up here with me is Craig Schultz, Doug Riley, Joyce Boyardi, Jim Borgman, Jody Garzon, Kathy McGinnis, and Katie Tu. The Town of Millis Finance Committee is comprised of 9 voting resident volunteers who are appointed by the town moderator. To prepare for the spring town meeting and consideration of the fiscal year 22 or FY22 budget, the FinCom held public meetings nearly every week since the start of the year. We received presentations from various municipal department heads as well as Millis Public School officials in order to review and consider requested funding levels. Likewise, we received presentations from various boards and committees regarding budgetary and non-budgetary articles, such as proposed zoning bylaw changes. Finally, FinCom members also served as members and our liaisons on other committees, such as the Capital Planning Committee, the Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee, the Community Preservation Committee, and the Charter Review Committee. A tremendous amount of effort, time and effort was put forth to ensure the FinCom recommendations are well-informed, thoughtfully considered, and deliberately voted, and I thank my colleagues for their hard work. FinCom proceedings and meeting materials are public record and can be accessed on the town's website, as can all of our meeting materials. Due to COVID-19, meetings were conducted on Zoom. Recordings will be linked to the town websites as soon as they are available. There are nearly 30 articles for Springtown meeting vote this year. The following articles are called to your attention. At the Article 3, the FY22 operating budget. As with every spring, the major budgetary article in the town's operating budget for the new fiscal year, which begins on 1 July 2021. The proposed FY22 budget reflects cost growth of approximately 4.6% over the FY21 town meeting approved budget. It should be noted that the FY21 budget was initially reduced at the time of approval to mitigate the economic effects of COVID-19. However, some funding was restored during FY21. Thus, variance calculations between FY21 and FY22 are skewed slightly higher. While much of the increases are due to inflationary and scheduled increases, such as longevity pay, raises, or negotiated contract increases, there are some proposed above service level increases. The above service level increases include funding for an IT professional to be cost shared with the town of Norfolk, additional funding for the Veteran Service Officer, additional funding for the Executive Office Department Assistant, additional funding for increased operating hours and programming at the Council on Aging, additional funding for the DPW with a heavy equipment operator, and additional funding for a Recreational Department Assistant. At the time of publishing of the document that's in front of you, the exact amounts proposed for the above service level requests were not known, but they have been finalized and voted on, and the motions will reflect the accurate amount. A couple of more articles for your attention. Articles 5, 6, and 7, the sewer, water, and stormwater enterprise funds. The enterprise funds exist for operation, maintenance, repair, and construction of the respective municipal utility systems. Revenue for the funds is generated via user fees and is calculated by meter readings or is estimated. While there is no major change to the enterprise fund operating budgets, there are 2 important items voters and users should be aware of. The first is presence of per and polyfluoral alkyl substances, otherwise known as PFAS, and you'll hear that term several times for this afternoon, in town water supplies. In short, PFAS are man-made chemicals that federal and state agencies have mandated be removed from municipal water systems once they are detected above a specified threshold. Of Millis's 5 municipal wells, 2 are shut down due to higher than allowable levels of PFAS. The remaining wells are being actively monitored and could be at risk as well. The most likely means to effectively remove PFAS from the water supplies is to construct advanced filtration systems at an estimated cost of $3.5 million each. These costs would be borne by the Water Enterprise Fund. Also of an important note is a cost allocation concern brought to our attention by the Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee. According to research done by the EFAC, as well as the town's consultant, Community Paradigm Associates, the cost-sharing model used to allocate direct and indirect expenses between the DPW and the sewer, water, and stormwater utilities enterprise funds has not been maintained, resulting in an apparent misallocation of resources. More simply stated, when a town employee would split time between town highway duties and water system duties, for example, the hours had not been accurately tracked, nor had work split assumptions been revalidated, resulting in overpayment of direct and indirect costs by the enterprise fund to the general fund. Preliminary data shows an imbalance of costs between the general fund and the enterprise fund to be over $300,000. This is preliminary data. And I just want to add, while it doesn't say it in the Finance Committee report, that costs were once asked by the Enterprise Fund Advisory Committee, once hours were asked to be tracked, they were tracked accurately. It is not believed that any dishonest or illicit conduct caused the error. Nonetheless, the FinCom is recommending corrections begin to be made immediately in the FY22 budget, and we worked in collaboration with the Select Board to make sure that those changes and reallocations are reflected in this budget that will be voted on today. There are many more important issues to be decided at town meeting. Article 15 addresses several capital expenditures. Article 16 and 17 concerns tree and road maintenance expenditures, and there are several other non-funding articles dealing with zoning bylaw changes. Again, I want to thank you for coming, and we want to get started right away. And I just want to quickly add my thanks and thanks of my colleagues and appreciation for Mr. McCaffrey. Thank you very much, sir. Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the reading of the warrant and return of service thereof be omitted.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the moderator be granted unanimous consent to admit the reading of the articles and refer to them by number and subject matter.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. We can now move on to Article 1.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Tu.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $572.91 to pay the following unpaid bills incurred by town departments from previous fiscal years, or take any other action in relation thereto. Select Board, $270, Mead, Tallerman, and Costa. Town Clerk, $79, LHS Associates. Town Clerk, $14, Lisa Harden, reimburse postage. Town Clerk, $41.10, Lisa Harden, reimburse supply. IT Admin, $55.04, CDWG. Weights and Measures, $113.77 for fiscal year 20 expense reimbursement. The total is $572.91. It requires a 4/5 majority vote.
I second.
Okay, the motion has been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Tu.
this is an annual article to fund bills incurred in previous fiscal years. Again, the bills for this town meeting total $572.91. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The article passes.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the town vote to transfer from the following accounts the sums of money listed below to fund additional wages and expenses to the accounts listed below which were not sufficiently funded under Article 3 operating budget of the June 29th, 2020 annual town meeting.
Second.
Not done yet. Transfer from Town General Government, $79,222.14. General Insurance, $7,302.64. Health and Human Services, $13,617.59. Culture and Recreation, $11,615.13. Public Works, $16,591.80, for a total of $128,349.30. Transferred to Public Safety, $98,183.06. Employee Benefits, $30,166.24, for a total of $128,349.30.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
this article, if approved, authorizes transfer of funds between fiscal year 2020 accounts, fiscal year 21 accounts in order to adequately fund services provided during the past year. The practice of transferring funds at the end of the fiscal year is a routine practice, as numerous circumstances can cause variances between planned budgets at the start of the year and the actual expenses by the end of the fiscal year. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 2? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the town vote to fix the compensation of elected officers, provide for a reserve fund, and to raise and appropriate, including appropriations from taxation by transfer from available funds, the sum of $37,383,111 to defray charges and expenses to the town, including debt and interest, and a reserve fund for the general fund for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2021, as outlined in Table 2 of the Finance Committee report, with the following revenue sources. Taxation, $35,994,131. Ambulance fund, $408,152. Perpetual care interest, $332. Sale of cemetery lots, $7,141. Cell tower revenue, $54,677. Bond premium release, $127,147. Marijuana impact funds, $98,131. And to authorize the following transfers. Sewer fund indirect costs to general fund, $241,227. Water fund indirect costs to general fund, $294,833. Stormwater fund indirect costs to general fund, $157,340.
Second.
Article 3 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
this article, if approved, appropriates funding necessary to operate the town of Millis for fiscal year '22. The town's upcoming fiscal year runs from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2022. This year's budget includes approximately 4.6 increases in salaries and expenses over the fiscal year '21 budget as voted at spring town meeting last year. As already noted, the voter-adopted budgets of last year included cuts to some services and functions due to COVID-19. Those cuts were subsequently restored during the year. The variance calculation does not take this adjustment into account, and therefore the increase is skewed. The actual increase over FY21 budget is closer to 4.2%. A significant increase stems from employee benefit costs increasing by over $555,000, as shown in the operating budget department detail, page 25, in the fourth section from the top. Increases to salary costs are attributed to negotiated increases to union contracts, as well as longevity and other pay band increases. Additionally, this budget includes a number of above current service level increases. These proposed above service level increases are an IT specialist, cost shared with the town of Norfolk, shown on page 24 for $80,000. An increase in the Veteran Services Officer stipend, shown on page 26 for $6,805. Additional operating hours for the Council on Aging, shown on page 26 for approximately $25,700. A heavy equipment operator for the DPW, shown on page 26 for approximately $51,000. An increase of transfer station salary to reflect a full FTE, shown on page 26 for approximately $32,000. An increase to DPW summer help reflected on page 26 for approximately $13,000. And an increase to a Recreation Department assistant hours shown on page 27 for approximately $11,900. The Millis the Millis Public Schools budget, like the municipal budget, proposes level service growth of 4% due to salary and expense line cost increases. Also included in the proposed budget are expenses to be paid via the host community agreement for marijuana impact funds. These funds must be used to counter the impacts from sale of marijuana in Millis and are equivalent to 3% of sales. The impact funds will only be paid for 5 years and are distinct from marijuana sales tax, which is also paid at 3% of sales, but is expected to continue for the foreseeable future. The proposed budget expenses of over $98,000 from funds available at this time for the following: administrative support for town executive office, $9,200. Extended library hours for $2,100. The police department school resource officer salary of approximately $61,000. The police department marijuana stipend per contract, $10,800. And the recreational department summer program for participants with developmental and physical disabilities for $9,200. And lastly, the recreational department teen program coordinator, $5,800. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article.
Thank you. Further discussion of Article 3, but what I'd like to do is read each of the total line items. If people open up their warrant to page 25, we can start with line 1, general government. When I read these numbers, if anybody would like to, if anybody would like to discuss or debate these numbers, please step up to the microphone, and when we read through to the final lines, will be recognized. General government, $8,703,121.62. Line 2, public safety, $4,706,244.76. Millis Public Schools, $17,173,130.55. Tri-County, $955,936. Public Works, $1,131,416.51. Health and Human Services, $363,154.68. Culture and Recreation, $527,291.87. And debt service, $3,822,814.53, for a total appropriation of $37,383,111. Any discussion? Sir.
Good afternoon, I'm Stan Yablonsky from Glen Ellen Boulevard. I'd like to address the school budget. My wife and I, we've lived in 5 different states before moving to Massachusetts, and in every one of those states, the school budget was always a separate line item for the voters to consider. Here, it appears as though the school budget is in the whole town budget. So in order to have the school budget modified or amended, we have to take action, I guess, today, and not have a single vote. Is that correct?
Yes.
So is it all or none? Either we vote for the whole town budget, or if we disagree with the school budget, we have to vote no on the entire town budget. Is that correct?
Town Council Jay Tallerman.
Sure, Town Council Jay Tallerman. So you could move to amend that line item for education, but there's going to be one single vote on the whole budget. So if you are dissatisfied at the end of the day with respect to the school budget, you would vote no on the whole budget.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Doing some analysis of what's happening here in Millis. Since 2019, high school enrollment has decreased by 15%. K through 8 enrollment has decreased by 9%. And the school budget during that time has increased by 15%. So being a layperson, it just kind of doesn't make sense to me how the enrollment can go down, but yet the costs keep on going up. The other problem that Millis faces is we have low population compared to the other towns around us. The four surrounding towns, Medway, Medfield, Holliston, and Norfolk, all have 60% higher population average than we do. So that means they have 60% more taxpayers to cover their costs for their schools, their police, their fire, their infrastructure, their DPW. I don't see how taxes in Millis will ever go down because of our size. So not only in addition do I think we need to amend the school budget to just start the process for lowering our taxes going forward, we have to start somewhere. And with the school population going down and their budget going up, that really should change. The other thing that is long-term effect is we probably should really merge with one of these other towns so we can all enjoy lower taxes going forward, because right now it seems like we're fighting a losing battle. Thank you. Can I give a number as to what I would like to have the budget amended to on the school budget?
Sir, if you'd like to offer an amendment, then you
Yes.
should offer that amendment.
Okay. I would like to amend the school budget to, I wish there was a podium here.
Sir?
I think the school budget, instead of 17.2, can easily handle 16.500, and that would be my proposal for an amendment for fiscal year '22.
Sir, we need that in writing, please.
Do you have a pencil and paper? I don't understand. It has to be in writing? I just announced it in front of everybody.
As long as you put it in writing afterwards.
Afterwards.
Yes, so there is a motion on the floor. It's been moved and seconded to amend line item 3 of the Millis, of the town budget to read $16,500,000. Any further discussion? Sir, can we let someone else please speak? Thank you.
Hi, Arthur Curley, 148 Glenelg. I'd like to make an amendment.
Sir, we have an amendment on the floor. We need to deal with the motion that's in front of us before we further amend the budget.
Okay. So you want me to stop?
Unless you want to speak to this amendment, yes.
No. Okay.
Madam Moderator.
I'm sorry. Mr. Berube.
Through the moderator, first my comment is that the school board, the finance committee, and the select board have reviewed the school budget for months. And the $17.2 million budget has gone through some analysis, extensive analysis, that the finance staff at both the school and the town administration have considered, have debated. The school board has requested additional resources that weren't considered as part of this budget. Above-level service requests that weren't recommended for approval at this town budget. And my question is, what analysis was done to come up with a 16.5 or $700,000 decrease to the school budget?
Any further discussion on the motion to amend?
Yeah, Madam Moderator? Oh, I'm sorry.
Sir?
Hi, I'm Mike Banks, Forest Road, and first of all, obviously, I'm against this motion. I do want to clarify, though, this is $700,000 in a cut to the budget, and even though it's to line item number 3, we're voting on the full bottom line number. Is that correct? So if this were to pass, the town, I suppose, administrator would be able to make those cuts somewhere else. Is that correct?
Would be total.
The cut would be only to the school line budget. It would bring the appropriation down by the amount that the school budget would be decreased.
Okay, so thank you. Just to reiterate, I don't support that, and I think it's a disservice to the school committee and the finance committee who have been reviewing this budget for the past probably 6 months. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schultz.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm speaking in opposition to this amendment. As Chairman Berube said, we've studied this for many, many months, and the numbers are difficult sometimes to understand. A 15% or 10% decrease in our school enrollment does not translate a dollar-for-dollar decrease in the expenses needed. If you lose 1 or 2 children per grade, you still need the exact same number of teachers that you had before, and that would constitute a significant drop in our enrollment. So while this enrollment's been dropping slightly over the years, we have not been losing teachers because of it, because you still need to maintain the same number of classrooms because our enrollment decrease hasn't been enough to offset the number of teachers we need. The other costs, the school committee's done a very good job controlling union wage increases to keep this within the 4% growth margin. So this has been studied, it's been looked at very closely. The school committee has done everything the select board and the finance committee has asked and then some to come up with a number that we believe is accurate and affordable. So I speak against this amendment.
Madam Moderator.
Ma'am.
Denise Gibbons, Paddock Lane, member of the school committee. I too speak in objection of this article or against it, whatever terminology is. As Mr. Schultz said, there have been many public meetings related to the budget. The school committee held the public meeting to review the budget as a school committee meeting. There was also a review of the budget in full with the finance committee meeting.
Speak louder, please.
I'll repeat a little bit so that everyone can hear. There was a public hearing held on the school budget at the school committee meeting, I forget the date, probably about a month and a half ago. There was also a public hearing in front of the finance committee reviewing the school budget. The proposed $700,000 cut with the amendment on the table would negatively impact services to the students. The proposed budget is a level service budget. So to cut $700,000 from it would bring us to below level service. As Mr. Schultz correctly stated, the decrease in enrollment spreads grades, so there is not the ability to remove staff because the enrollment is not reduced in a single grade or 2. On an annual basis, the committee reviews the budget at a very detailed level to ensure that the money is being spent wisely. As you can see from your budget booklet, the majority of the spend within the budget is on salaries. Expenses are held to a minimum and always have been. We do not have an abundance of revenue within the town, and we treat every dollar very carefully. So I am speaking against the motion and would ask the voters to do so as well.
Sir.
Madam Moderator, James McKay, 416 Village Street. Can we get the amended motion read again? Because back there we could not hear it. We have no idea what was stated.
Can people hear me now, back in the back? Okay, I will try to.
We can hear all the comments up at the table. We cannot hear from this mic.
Okay, So would you like us to restate?
Yes, we want the amended motion just read back. We heard everything else.
Right. Okay. The motion has been made to amend line 3 of the Millis of the budget to be $16,500,000. $500,000, $16,500,000. And I would ask that people speak very loudly into the mic.
Pam Wilkie, 4 Sherman Road. The town has spent months on this. I move the question.
Okay, this is not a debatable motion, and we need a majority. The question has been moved, which cuts off debate. So all those in favor of moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, we will now vote on the amendment. So a vote in the affirmative would have the amendment pass. A vote in the other direction would have it fail. So all those in favor of the amendment? All those opposed? The amendment does not pass. Sir?
I think there's another more discussion.
Really?
Yeah, we've heard the argument, yeah.
Okay, again, Arthur Curley, 148 Glen Ellen Boulevard.
Please speak up, sir.
Yes, Arthur Curley, 148 Glen Ellen Boulevard. I'll keep it short. Tax rates are obscene in this town and Medway. Getting to the point the fellow made before me, Stan, merging with the town of Medway, I'm kind of an independent cost expert with my experience. I did an analysis that says that the tax rates in Millis would drop 30%.
Excuse me, sir, this is really not relevant to the budget in the sense that if you'd like to make an amendment to this,
Okay,
then
I'll
please
make an amendment.
state your amendment, but
I'll make an amendment.
discussion of us merging with another district is not really
I'd
pertinent.
like to make a motion, I guess, or amendment. I'd like the town residents to approve $75,000 for a detailed cost and legal analysis, along with the proposed transition schedule to implement.
Sir, this is not an amendment to the motion in front of us. This perhaps is a proposal that needs to be presented in a different manner. Mr. Tallerman?
How would I present that?
That's right. I believe, is that on? People hear me?
No. Do you want to come up here?
I think the point is that we're here to debate the motion, the numbers, and that is beyond the scope of it to propose an entirely new item that is not contemplated on the budget. If you want.
I get 2 minutes, right?
No,
So-
sir.
We're here to talk about the
So
budget.
I think she's ruled your motion out of order.
Yeah.
I thought we were here to talk about the budget.
So
We're here to,
The town.
Sir, excuse me, we are here to debate the budget it has been presented. Your motion is out of order, it does not
Well, how do I
relate.
make a motion to get $75,000?
That is an issue that is not pertinent to the motion in front of us, which is the town budget.
Then how do I make a motion to get $75,000 from the town residents?
You would need to have gone through the warrant process as a citizen's petition, which was back in March when the warrant was open, sir.
You know, the last time I came to a town meeting, there was some fellow that stood up and wanted $10,000 for trees.
Excuse me, sir, your commentary is not to the motion in front of us.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is why town government doesn't work.
Ms. Boyardi?
Wait,
Hold on.
very good. Joyce?
Joyce?
Thank you. I'm pretty loud. Excuse me, sir, the gentleman who just spoke at the podium. I've been a resident for 38 years. Your suggestion for us to do a study
Joyce?
and join other towns has been done. So if you want that done, go through the proper channels, not here.
Any further discussion on the budget article in front of us? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of passing Article 3, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Boardman,
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $85,000 to fund the estimated first-year cost items contained in the contracts between Town of Millis and the SEIU Local 888 and Town of Millis and Professional Firefighters of Millis, Local 4704, both to be effective July 1st, 2021. This is a simple majority vote.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion of Article 4.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Boardman,
this article will fund the estimated first-year costs of $85,000 contained in these contracts. The Finance Committee recommends the approval of this article.
any further discussion on Article 4? Seeing none, all those in favor of Article 4, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube,
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate from Sewer Department receipts the following sums to operate the Sewer Enterprise Fund beginning July 1st, 2021. Salaries and wages, $288,413. Expenses, $1,299,431, for a total of $1,587,844.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube,
this article, if approved, appropriates funding for personnel costs, contract expenses, and debt service necessary to operate the town's sewer service and infrastructure. Each of the utility enterprises are funded via user fees based on metered or estimated usage. The proposed budget is an increase of nearly 12% of last year's town meeting approved budget, with nearly 80% of the budget growth coming from the Charles River Pollution Control District cost increases. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article.
further discussion of Article 5.
I'm Loring Barnes from Curve Street. My question addresses the comment by the chair earlier about the audit by Paradigm Associates of all of the enterprise funds. We are participants in all three. I had a question that I had actually directed to a town employee, but I was told that they all had to go through the chair of the select board, which I'd never heard of. So I'm bringing it here. I'd like to know from the audit, there's line 20, retiree health and pension benefits, and line 23, employee benefits, health, pension, Medicare, and OPEB. So I'd like to understand the distinction between the two, and I also would like to have the overages paid by those of us who participate in the enterprise funds, as the audit revealed that the FY21 water enterprise was overcharged by 5.8%, the sewer enterprise by 11.2%, and the stormwater by 18.9%. Thank you.
Madam Moderator.
May I just make a brief comment? This issue, which was raised earlier in the opening remarks by the Finance Committee, is really germane to the general budget, which was already passed. This is the approval of this next year's enterprise fund budget. The administrative expenses, the issue regarding the shared administrative expenses that each of the enterprise funds pay to the general budget, was under the prior article, Article 3. So that kind of inquiry would only happen under that article. This article does not consider those shared administrative expenses. So this is just the operating budget for the enterprise fund. So I leave it to the moderator as to whether or not that inquiry is within or without the scope, but that issue would have come up during the general fund.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Berube.
I would just like to make a general comment.
Excuse me, actually, this comment is not germane to the article in front of us, so. Sir.
I think you're going to tell me the same thing. Steve McInnes, 78 Island Road.
Please speak louder, sir.
Steve McInnes, 78 Island Road. I was curious about, well, now I'm probably a little off too, but when we talked about the enterprise funds, is it the intent of the Board of Selectmen to go back further than just the past year and look all the way back to the very
This
beginning?
comment is also not germane to the article.
I understand that, but I didn't realize, so are we going to be able to go back
Sir?
and talk about that?
This is not germane to the article in front of us.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Moderator.
Any further discussion of Article 5? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes by majority vote.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube,
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate from Water Department receipts the following sums to operate the Water Enterprise Fund beginning July 1st, 2021. Salaries and wages, $409,449. Expenses, $1,415,433, for a total of $1,824,882.
Second.
Article 6 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube,
this article, if approved, appropriates the funding for personnel costs, contract expenses, and debt service necessary to operate the town's water service and infrastructure. Like the sewer and stormwater enterprises, the water enterprise is funded via user fees or metered or estimated usage. The proposed FY22 budget is a marginal increase over FY21. Of note is the expense line for water testing is more than doubled in order to comply with state DEP mandated testing for per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS. The town's efforts to address the presence of PFAS will be discussed more in Article 15 capital items. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article.
any further discussion of Article 6? All those in favor? Oh, sorry, excuse me, there was someone that wishes to speak.
All right. Speak right into the mic.
Judy Ackerman, 161 Village Street. I know, I don't understand what the difference is between the enterprise water fund and the regular water fund, because it seems to me I'm paying into both funds. Could someone explain?
Mr. Berube?
Madam Moderator.
Yeah.
There is only one enterprise fund for water, and I'm not exactly certain of what the speaker is referring to in the general water fund, but there is, in town, we have three enterprise funds for utilities: the Water Enterprise Fund, the Sewer Enterprise Fund, and the Storm Water Enterprise Fund, which is the storm drains. And I'll be covering that in the next article. But essentially, only the users of those systems and those utilities pay into it. If you're at home on septic or potentially have a well, generally you would not be included as a ratepayer into the enterprise funds. Virtually all Millis residents and entities are payers into the Stormwater Enterprise Fund because we all have runoff from our properties that require maintenance of the stormwater system.
Thank you.
Any further discussion of Article 6? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Passes by majority vote.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate from Stormwater Department receipts the following sums to operate the Stormwater Enterprise Fund beginning July 1st, 2021. Salaries and wages, $181,338. Expenses, $400,381, for a total of $581,719.
Second. Want to go through this up?
The motion has been moved. I'm sorry, I'm freezing. I needed to move forward.
You're going to have to go a little further.
Yeah, I think we're going to go just a little further. I'd also ask my husband to get my sweater out of my saddlebags on my bike if he's here. That would be great. Thank you. Article 7 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
this article, if approved, appropriates funding for personnel costs, contract expenses, and debt service necessary to operate the town's stormwater system and to meet the requirements of the town's municipal separate storm sewer system, or MS4, discharge permit. There are no significant increases to the proposed budget from last year. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 7? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, Article 8 is something that we call a consent budget, a consent article, excuse me. And if you'll just give me a moment, that'd be great. Okay. So the next 4 items that are part of this in your warrant will be considered as one thing. So the FinCom person will read those, and anybody that has, then we will work through them. You need to vote on this as one article. And there's no debate unless somebody indicates a hold on one of those items. So.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Tu?
I move that the town vote to approve the items as written in the warrant as consent Article 8.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I'm sorry. Oh, thank you. Any discussion of article?
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
the consent article consists of the following annual articles. Number 1, amendments to the personnel plan. This article allows for amendments to the Schedule A salary plan of the Town of Millis personnel plan. Number 2, Board of Health appointing authority. This annual article authorizes the Board of Health to appoint any of its members to another town office or position for which it has appointing authority. Number 3, revolving funds. This annual article authorizes towns to use revolving funds that have their own sources of revenue to be accounted for separately from other town monies. These funds may spend their revenues without additional appropriation up to the limits authorized by the town. Number 4, community preservation fund. This annual article allocates community preservation funds into the various reserves as required in the Community Preservation Act for administrative expenses, community preservation projects, and/or other expenses in fiscal year 2022. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Okay, and I'm just going to be a little bit more specific, so I'll now read those 4, and if anybody would like it handled outside of the consent agenda, they need to indicate that by standing. 7 people need to stand in order to put a hold on one of these, and I thank you for your patience as I work through this. Amendments to the personnel plan. Board of Health appointing authority. Revolving funds. Community preservation funds. So all those in favor of the consent article, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Schultz.
I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $1,469 from the Community Preservation Historic Resource Reserve Fund for the preservation and rehabilitation of the Henry F. Walling Map, Phase 2.
Second.
It's been moved, Article 9 has been moved and seconded. The Community Preservation Committee held public meetings on February 4th, 2021 and March 4th, 2021 via Zoom and voted unanimously to approve the $1,469 from the Community Preservation Historic Resource Reserve Fund for the preservation and rehabilitation of the Henry F. Walling Map Phase 2 project. Mr. Schultz.
Thank you. This is, as it says, Phase 2 of the rehabilitation restoration process. She took a lot of what I had to say. So this is a continuation of Phase 1. We voted it last year. The Finance Committee unanimously endorsed this.
Any discussion of Article 9? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Schultz.
I move that the town vote to appropriate the sum of $10,300 from the Community Preservation Open Space Recreation Resource Reserve Fund for the Millis High School dugout project.
Second.
The Community Preservation Committee held public meetings on February 4th, 2021 and March 4th, 2021 via Zoom, voted unanimously to approve the $10,300 from the Open Space Recreation Resource Reserve Fund for the Millis High School dugout senior project.
Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Mr. Schultz.
This is a high school senior project by Brian Nichols for the baseball fields. He'll be building dugouts on the concrete slabs, so there'll be shade and rain protection for the players during the game. I think the wood has just been unloaded over there, actually. So this is his senior project. The CPA fund is going to pay for it. It's a great use of town resources and a great project by one of our high school seniors.
Any further discussion of Article 10? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Schultz.
I move that the town vote to dismiss Article 11.
Second.
Discussion.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, discussion, yeah. Madam Moderator,
Mr. Schultz.
I was waiting for you to explain it again like you've
Oh,
done
I'm
with the
sorry,
other
but I didn't
CPA.
have to do it on this one.
The Finance Committee has recommended dismissal of this article. This article would have stabilized the exterior of the train station, the Lansing Millis building downtown. Unfortunately, we do not have the $363,000 needed to do this project. The Select Board is working to find grants and other alternatives to keep it weather tight while we look for funding opportunities to maintain and repair this building. So the Finance Committee unanimously recommended dismissal.
Any further discussion of Article 11? All those in favor of the motion to dismiss, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries by majority.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $36,750 for an independent audit of all accounts of all departments of the town.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion of Article 12.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
each year, an outside independent accounting firm reviews and audits Millis finance statements to ensure that the financial statements have been fairly represented in all material respects in accordance with General Acceptance Accounting Principle, GAAP. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 12?
Jim Angelo, Lavender Street.
You need to be closer to the mic.
Speak loudly, yeah.
Jim Angelo, Lavender Street. Does that include an audit of the school committee, school finances?
Yes.
I believe it does, doesn't it?
Thank you.
It's the audit, yeah.
Any further discussion of Article 12? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $20,000 for fiscal year 2022, personal property interim year inspections and real estate interim year evaluations, re-evaluations, blah, blah, blah.
Second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion of Article 13.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
sorry. This article will approve the cost to review and analyze real estate and personal property information to establish values for the fiscal year. This includes discovery of new personal property accounts and reviewing information from existing accounts. The Department of Revenue has updated the valuation method and requirements of utilities and wireless information, which has increased the cost by $6,000, $2,000 for wireless, $2,000 and $2,000 for each utility. Currently, Millis has NSTAR, Electric, and Columbia Gas. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 13? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes by majority.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $18,000 to conduct the FY23 recertification process.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion of Article 14?
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
every 5 years, a city or town is recertified by the Department of Revenue. The recertification process is completed over 2 fiscal years, fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023. The process will start January, February of 2022. This is mid-fiscal year 2022, and continue until the tax rate is approved for fiscal year 2023, November, December of 2022, about 1/3 into fiscal year 2023. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Further discussion of Article 14? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $171,531 and transfer from the Water Enterprise Reserve Fund the sum of $485,600 for a total sum of $657,131 to fund the following capital items. School Department, committed bus leases, $89,999. School Department, committed computer leases, $46,600. Police Department, committed police cruiser leases, $34,932. Water Enterprise Fund, DeAngelis Wells PFAS Plant Design Part B, $200,000. Water Enterprise Fund, Wells 3 through 6 PFAS Plant Design Part A, $255,600. Water Enterprise Fund, Water Systems Response Plan, $30,000, for a total of $657,131.
Second.
Article 15 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
this article appropriates funding for 6 capital items and projects valued at $657,131. The Capital Finance Committee reviewed department requests for capital purchases and projects and then made its recommendation to the Select Board and Finance Committee. Candidate projects were assessed and prioritized for funding consideration based on factors such as legal, regulatory, statutory requirement, criticality of need, health and safety risk to the community or employees, public benefit, revenue generation, or potential to reduce operating costs. The first 3 proposed expenditures for school buses, police cruisers, and school computers are for leases already committed to in prior town meeting votes and are the FY22 allotments to satisfy those lease contracts. The Water Systems Response Plan is a required document and is an assessment and response plan dealing with potential natural hazards, cybersecurity threats to infrastructure control, and financial systems. This document must be submitted to the EPA by the end of the calendar year. The plant designs are for advanced filtration systems to treat for PFAS detected in Millis's water system. Presence of PFAS at the levels that are being continually detected through regular monitoring is a significant risk to the town's ability to operate the water distribution system uninterrupted. In fact, wells 1 and 2 have already been taken offline. The Capital Planning Committee ranked these projects as the town's highest priority. This problem must be dealt with urgency. It is plausible that the town could be forced to install PFAS treatment systems at each of its 4 water treatment facilities. Millis has already secured a grant from the state and begun design on a PFAS treatment system at wells 1 and 2. The funds requested in this article would be used to complete the design at wells 1 and 2 and to start system designs at wells 3 through 6. The funds requested are for design only and are not for construction of the treatment systems estimated at approximately $3.5 million each. The Select Board has formally requested financial assistance directly to the Governor in coordination with our elected officials. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 15? Sir.
Bruce Gilman, 32 Glen Ellen Boulevard. Can you explain the source of the PFAS? I think I've looked for information on the website and haven't really found anything. And if there is a known source for this contamination of the wells, is there any companies or previous owners of the property that are responsible for the cleanup? And how does the town propose to get the money back from those companies?
Madam Moderator.
One moment, please. I'd like to have the town administrator speak to this.
Thank you, Madam Moderator.
You might want to put the mic up a little.
This is something we have been working with our town council with, as far and as well as outside council, to determine what other private entities may have responsibility in regards to this. So that it's currently being worked on, and we expect more information to be coming out in regards to this later in the fall. So I can assure town meeting that we are closely following up on this to make sure that the town's interests are fully protected.
So, do you have it? I'm sorry?
Please direct your comments through me, so could you start that over again?
Just wondering if you have an idea of the source of the contamination.
Sir, that is what the town administrator was just, they're in the midst of that.
Well, was it from previous companies that, had property in the town, or is it from outside the town? You just don't know yet? I mean...
Madam Moderator? Again, it's could be some of all of the above. We are looking at that to determine if there were companies in the town prior or other types of sources. So that is currently being investigated. We're looking at our records, and we're also in discussions with town council in regards to the options the town has moving forward. But yes, there are potentially private businesses that may have some involvement in this, but it may involve litigation, so that's as far as I can go with it at this point.
Is there any, from what I've read, the levels of the PFAS are not high enough to cause...
Sir, we're looking at this article in front of us. The discussion of the PFAS and the levels is not appropriate at this time.
Thank you.
Madam Moderator, Brian Riley, 213 Village Street. I'm confused. We passed the school budget. In the school budget, there has to be money for the school computers. I look at Article 15. There's money to lease more computers for school. And when I look down on Article 18, there's still more money for the computers for the school. I'm confused and don't understand. Isn't the school budget done? Why are we adding or hiding what they need in other articles?
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Schultz. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Berube.
The Article 3, which contained the school budget, was a vote and dealt with the operating budget of the school and all the departments. The capital items, on the other hand, are for items that are considered not necessarily annual requirements. And I would note that, sir, on a personal level or on an individual level, I somewhat agree with your point. Not necessarily your point that anything's being hidden, but that if a department requires vehicles on a regular basis or computers on a regular basis, that those items should be included in the budget. That is my personal opinion, and it's one that we've discussed with the school committee, with the select board, amongst the finance committee, And there may be changes to those items so that they're included in the operating budget on a regular basis within the annual appropriations. However, again, I must just reiterate that nothing is trying to be hidden here. This leases and capital items have always been separate from, up to now, have always been separate as capital items in a separate article. And so there could be some movement on that going into the future, but that would likely be in a future year's budget, not this year.
Madam Moderator,
Sir.
I appreciate that explanation, but it still doesn't satisfy me that the school budget doesn't include leasing capital items. And
No, thank you.
I also don't understand why we have two articles leasing computers, capital item, for the schools.
Madam Moderator.
I believe that this has been explained. And
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I believe that this has been explained. I'm sorry that you're not satisfied with the answer.
Madam
I
Moderator.
Mr.
If I can just, actually probably can resolve this. The reason that there are leases, either computer leases or bus leases or vehicle leases in two different articles, aside from the Article 3 operating budget discussion that we just had, if a multi-year lease is approved in town meeting, it shows up in the next year's, in each subsequent year's warrant and articles so that the appropriation can be made. So that's why it says it's a committed lease. In other words, the leases that are in Article 15 were voted on last year at town meeting, and it requires an appropriation each year of the contractual lease. So if there's a police car that's funded over 3 years, it will show up for 3 years. When there is a new item, a new lease for a new vehicle to replace another vehicle that may be 10 or 15 or 8, 7 years old, it just depends on what it is, it will show up as a standalone article, separate from new leases. That is how we're required to present them. It can be confusing, I agree, and hopefully my explanation will help you, help everybody understand that.
Any further discussion of Article 15? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries by majority.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $40,000 for tree trimming and removal.
Second.
Article 16 has been moved and seconded.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Boyardi.
this will continue the town's efforts to remove or trim trees that are not safe or diseased as identified by the Millis tree warden. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Further discussion?
Madam Moderator,
Sir.
Brutus Canareggi, 7 Blueberry Lane, tree warden, and I would like to keep this program going. The selectmen and FinCom have been excellent. I think this year, everybody knows we did over hundreds of trees on Orchard and Ridge Street. This funding is going to be earmarked for Farm Street, Acorn Street, and Cedar. Hopefully, we'll be able to get through those areas. If you've been up there lately, a lot of dead oak trees that need to come down that are hazards. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Bruce Gilman, 32 Glen Ellen.
Closer.
I'm wondering if stump removal is part of this program. There are a number of trees, as was just mentioned, that were removed on Orchard Street, but the stumps remain very close to the road, and in my opinion, are a hazard. If you go around the corner and there's a huge stump remaining from a tree being cut down, it remains a hazard. So it doesn't seem like the stumps are being removed. It seems like the trees are cut down, but the stumps remain, and that continues to be a hazard.
I will let the tree warden address this issue, please.
Thank you, Bonnie. Stumps,
Everybody loves a good stump, right? We don't have money. I mean, as much as I'd like to say that we would like to remove the stumps, but that's more of an aesthetical thing. The money that's become available, we need to take down the hazards. So if I would say to the gentleman, if he knows what a stump is, he should probably slow down if the hazard's there, okay? So thank you.
Okay, please, please, please. Ma'am.
Madam Moderator, Pat Shogren, 642 Main Street. My only question is, what is the funding source for this, please?
Taxation? Is it
taxation? Excuse me. It's through taxation. Madam Moderator, it's through taxation.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you speak up because I can.
Yeah, Madam Moderator, the funding source is taxation.
Thank you.
doing it.
Yeah. Sir?
Madam Moderator, my question has already been answered, but I must ask it anyway.
Sir, can you please identify yourself?
Oh, sorry. I thought everybody knew who I was.
Not everybody knows who you are.
Yeah, that's true. Steve McGinnis, 78 Island Road.
Thank you.
I am the chairman of the Oak Grove Farm Commission.
I would ask that we please stop with the applause. It only lengthens the meeting. Sir.
I was going to address Mr. Cantareggi. They used some of the $40,000 from last year to clear the trees along Ridge Street after they were all dead from gypsy moth and others that were damaged by the tornado on October 7th. They did not pick up a lot of the brush and debris that fell onto the ground, but he gave me the answer. There's no money for that. So I just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Mr. Cantareggi.
Any further discussion of Article 16?
You need the mic?
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries by majority.
Article 17,
Madam Moderator.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. McGinnis?
I move that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $50,000 and transfer from free cash the sum of $45,000 and transfer the sum of $48,805.23 from Article 26, Clyde F. Brown Roof Repairs of the annual town meeting of June 5, 2017, for a total sum of $143,805.23 for road maintenance and repairs.
Second. Okay, Article 17 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. McGinnis?
this article will fund $143,805.23 for road maintenance and repairs. With the approval of this article, the DPW director will have a total of $661,172.96 to repair public roads. These funds have been accumulated as follows. GL Chapter 90 funds remaining from FY21, $244,385.73. GL Chapter 90 funds received this FY22, $272,982.00, and funds, if this article is approved, $143,805.23, giving a total of $661,172.96. GL Chapter 90 funds is a term used to describe the amount of funds the Commonwealth annually gives a municipality for road work. Madam Moderator, the DPW Director has provided information as to which public ways will be repaired with the available GL Chapter 90 funds. Job 1 would be Farm Street from Village Street to Alma Road, 4,800 feet. The repair includes milling 1.5 inches of roadway and replace with 1.5 inches of top bituminous concrete. Job 2 is in 2 phases, both on Main Street. Phase 1 is Plain Street to Park Road, 550 feet. Phase 2 is Exchange Street to Park Road, 245 feet. The 2 phases of repair include milling 1.5 inches of roadway and replace with 1.5 inches of top bituminous concrete. Job 3 would be Ridge Street from Union Street to Auburn Road, 3,600 feet. The repair includes milling again 1.5 inches of roadway and replace with 1.5 inches of top bituminous concrete. And, Madam Moderator, if this Article 17 is approved in the sum of $143,805.23, according to the DPW Director, the following roads are his priority. However, the Director has advised the Finance Committee that until bids are received, it is currently not known how much of the following can be repaired. Exchange Street from Curve Street to Main Street, 1,355 feet. Intersection of Village Street at Pleasant Street is 580 feet. And hopefully Auburn Road from Ridge Street to Main Street, 1,464 feet. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Further discussion of Article 17.
Madam Moderator, Terry Cassidy, 56 Island Road. I think you answered most of my questions. I had a couple questions. So 109 is a state road, I believe, correct? And it's in deplorable condition. So is the state responsible for providing funds without a contract for them to come and repair the road rather than us taking it out of our $661,000 they're going to give us? And my second question is there a 5-year plan in Millis to repair the roads by full grinding and overlay, not just putting patches? Because, I mean, I think we all know the roads are in terrible shape in Millis currently. So I guess it's 2 questions. The state.
Jim McKay, answer.
I'm going to ask
Director.
DPW Jim McKay is coming towards the microphone to address these issues.
Yeah, oh, he is. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. 109 is not a state road. That is part of the town of Millis. We collect Chapter 90 funds on that measurement each year. We do have a plan that goes out to 15 years. And in that plan, it would cost over upwards of $5 to $10 million for road repairs. So we are following that plan that's outlined by our consultant firm.
Thank you.
Loring Barnes, Curve Street. First of all, I just want to acknowledge that I was applauding different people who came to the podium because I think they're unsung heroes in the town for their volunteerism. So I want to acknowledge the fact that I was apparently misbehaving, but it was with a good heart and intent. I'm thrilled to see so many people here, and I hope all of you get involved.
Ma'am, could we speak to the article?
I'm happy to speak to the article. My question for the Finance Committee, specific to the proposed road repairs, is that there is a subdivision going in on Ridge Street right at the point of the road being slated for repair. My concern about that is that it's a 90-degree, very tight, poor visibility turn, and I'm hoping that somebody can address the status of the sidewalk committee and the funds therein. Thank you.
The sidewalk issue is not really germane to the road maintenance issue in front of us. Any further discussion of Article 17? All those in favor of the article as presented, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Borgman.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $23,300 for a new lease purchase of computers for Millis schools. This is a 2/3 majority.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion
Madam
of
Moderator,
Sir.
this article will fund a new lease purchase for the Millis school computers. Total cost for the first year will total $23,300.
Further discussion? Please repeat that, sir. I don't think they can hear you.
Okay. This article will fund a new lease purchase for the Millis school computers. The total cost for the first year will total $23,300.
Further discussion of Article 18?
Madam Moderator, Brian Riley, Village Street. My question on this article is this one-year lease to replace a lease that's ending, or is this adding a new computer? Or computers, I don't know.
Is there a member of the school that can address this, please? School board?
Stephen Catalano, Bogastow Circle, Millis School Committee. This is the start of a new lease.
Thank you.
Is that replacing an old lease?
Sir, please use the
Madam?
microphone.
I don't know if that answer replaces an old lease or adds a new lease for new computers.
Replaces an old lease. First year of a new one, replacing an old lease.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion of Article 18? I know there's people walking around. I just want to make sure nobody is coming up to the microphone. Okay, all those, this is a 2/3 majority vote. We'll take a voice vote first. All those in favor of Article 18, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes by the 2/3 majority. Ma'am, please don't move the non-voter seats. Thank you.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Riley.
I move that the town appropriate $711,728 to pay costs of designing and constructing drainage improvements at Village and Birch Streets, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation,
Speak louder, please. I don't think people can hear
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry. Shall I start over?
I think it might be, yes.
Okay.
Good idea.
I move that the town appropriate $711,728 to pay costs of designing and constructing drainage improvements at Village and Birch Streets, including the payment of all costs incidental and related thereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7, Paragraph 1, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the town therefore. While this borrowing shall constitute a general obligation of the town, it is expected to be repaid in the first instance from Stormwater Enterprise Fund revenues. The Board of Selectmen is authorized to apply for, accept, and expend any state or federal aid that is or may become available for these purposes, and the total amount authorized to be borrowed by this vote shall be reduced to the extent of any federal or state grants received on account of this project. Any premium received upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premium applied to the payment of the costs of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with General Law, Chapter 44, Section 20 of the General Laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. This is a 2/3 majority vote as well.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Article 19 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Riley.
This article is to fund, as it said, the design and construction of repairs to address significant flooding at the. Anybody who's driven down Village Street in recent years knows that when we have a lot of snow, a lot of rain, that low section at the curve on Village Street, right where it matches up roughly with Birch Street, floods out. Sometimes the road is closed halfway or completely. It also causes a lot of flooding in residents' yards, including multiple inches of water in at least one garage that I'm aware of. The town cannot indefinitely ignore the negative physical impact on private property of substandard infrastructure. And this is exactly the kind of infrastructure project that the Stormwater Enterprise Fund was set up to address.
Further discussion?
Madam Moderator,
Sir,
my question is...
please identify yourself.
Nathan Maltinsky, Exchange Street.
Thank you.
My question is, has this article been brought up to town meeting before? I recall that it was brought up at least twice to town meeting for funding, and if so, why wasn't this project completed? I think it's been probably 2 years since it's been brought to town meeting, and wondering why this project hasn't been completed to date.
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Riley.
Your memory's better than mine is, Nate. I can't off the top of my head recall a specific article on this, but if someone else does, then
I'm going to ask the town administrator to address this issue, please.
To the best of my knowledge, this article has not been before the town meeting up until this point. They may have had some discussions in regards to it, in regards to the Stormwater Enterprise Fund in general, but my recollection is this has not been before the town meeting requesting funding up until this point.
Thank you. Sir.
Bruce Gilman, 32 Glen Ellen Boulevard. I guess my question is this intersection anywhere near the question on Article 20? I looked at the map and I couldn't see if this is in the same area as the Braun property.
Madam Moderator.
No?
Madam, it is
Sorry.
not.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, my bad.
Mr. Maltinsky.
Madam Moderator, could I get a reply from the DPW director as to this article being presented previously at town meeting?
I can see Mr. McKay making his way towards the microphone. Yes, sir. And one comment from the town administrator prior to that, please.
Certainly, I think we should hear from the DPW director, but I just want to note that we did have one article prior in regards to this, but it was not for the construction. It was for the design and study. It was for a much smaller amount, I believe $30,000. So I believe we've reached the point now where we can request funding for the next phase.
Thank you. Mr. McKay.
Thank you. The article would never, for full design and build-out, came in front of town meeting. It was, last year was there and it was dismissed because of the funding source was not available at the time.
Thank you.
Madam Moderator,
Sir.
Bruce Reggie, 7 Blueberry Lane. How much money is in the stormwater coffers now? We've been collecting for 2 years.
Good question.
Carol. I'm sorry. Carol Johnson, do we have a? You might not think so.
Not that much. Madam Moderator, currently we have $267,760 available in that account.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, Christine Chambers. I live on Village Street, right across from that area. And I just want to clarify that my property is not personally affected by these storms. But in the past 20 years that I've lived there, I have witnessed some horrendous accidents on that very sharp curve in good weather alone. And when the rain covers the roads and snow covers that area and it blocks the drainage, I see the cars go into the other lanes and people almost getting in very many accidents. So if anything, this is probably a bigger safety issue than I think people realize. So I just want to emphasize that I think it's a good use of funds. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
Madam Moderator,
Yes.
how much money do we collect a year for the stormwater utility?
Okay, I don't think that this is really germane to the article in front of us.
How can it be? We're going to pay for it out of the stormwater utility. I'm wondering how much money is in it. We're talking about borrowing from the utility.
In Article 7, we voted the budget for the Stormwater Enterprise Fund, sir.
But how much do we collect? I know the budget, I know we get money in, it goes out. How much do we actually collect per year for the stormwater utility?
Town administrator will address this.
Madam Moderator, the town collects approximately $600,000 per year through the Stormwater Enterprise Fund.
Thank you. I'd also like to speak in favor of this. That corner is awful, and if it's a great use for the stormwater utility.
Thank you. Any further discussion of Article 19? All those in favor? This is a 2/3 majority vote. We'll take a voice vote first. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes by the 2/3 majority. Before we enter into our discussion of Article 20, I'd like to remind everybody that we're neighbors, some of us are friends, and that we keep our discussion and our debate here civil and polite. And I would also like the audience to refrain from commentary on anybody's comments at the microphone. I do intend to let people speak to this in as far as we are staying on topic and relevant to the article. On that note,
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Schultz.
I move that the town vote to appropriate $1 million to pay the cost of acquiring a parcel of land, including all structures thereon, located at 377 Village Street in Millis, as shown on Millis Assessor's Map number 41/003, and consisting of 23.1 acres, more or less, and presently owned by Richard M. Braun, including the payment of all costs incidental and related hereto, and that to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the select board, is authorized to borrow said amount under and pursuant to GLC 44, Section 7, open parentheses, 1, close parentheses, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes of the towns therefore. The select board is authorized to apply for and accept and expend any state or federal aid that is or may become available for these purposes, and the total amount authorized to be borrowed by this vote shall be reduced to the extent of any federal or state grants received on account of this project. Any premium received upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any such premiums applied to the payment of the cost of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payments of the cost approved by this vote in accordance with GLC 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such cost by a like amount.
Second.
Article 20 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
That was written by a lawyer, huh? Okay, so as most of you know, this Article 20 would authorize the town to purchase 23 acres plus or minus of land that is currently used for in agricultural use. The agricultural use land gets a tax break, and the town, in exchange for that tax reduction, is allowed the right of first refusal. That means if the land ever comes up for sale, somebody has made a legitimate purchase and sale offer, in this case for $1 million, and that money, the town has the right to meet that. We don't get into a bidding war. We don't go out and solicit our own appraisal. Somebody has made a legitimate offer on this land for $1 million, and we have the right to meet that. The reason we're advocating, I've got notes, I've got to flip around a little bit here. So the reason we are recommending approval of this is because we have a limited amount of time to act. We have 120 days after receiving a bona fide offer, and we have received that offer. There is a legitimate purchase and sale out there on this. By purchasing this land, we have the time to study and come up with uses. We're using a source of funds, the general fund, not recreation fund, not conservation funds, that allow us to do whatever we want to do with the land. We can use it for open space. We can use it for recreation. We can put fields on it. We can leave it as passive recreation. We also have the ability to get creative and actually address some of the concerns that Millis has. We have the ability to look at affordable housing options. We have the ability to look at senior housing options. We aren't locked in to just another vacant piece of land that we're going to leave as open space for the town. Though I do work for an environmental organization and we're in favor of open space, that's not what we're locking ourselves into with this. The important other part of that is we're not mandated to keep this land. If we do our due diligence and in a year or two decide there is no good town use for this land, we can sell it. We can put it back on the market and we can sell it to any other developer. And then use those proceeds to pay off the bond. So, important point here is it's borrowing, so it takes a 2/3 majority of this body to pass that, but it is not a debt exclusion. That means our taxes will not increase because of this. The money is going to be paid out of our normal operating funds. There is no 2.5 debt exclusion. There is no vote at the polls. So there's been a lot of information going around about this. I encourage a good, friendly debate, and I echo what Donna said. There'll be a lot of discussion, and let's remember we are neighbors. But this was endorsed by the Finance Committee, the Select Board, the Planning Board, and several other town committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion of Article 20.
Madam Moderator.
Sir.
I'm kind of confused about the financing. So what they're saying is our taxes aren't going to go up. And because, as I understood it, because we've been paying off debt, so it's already kind of there. And I was trying to come to an analogy with that. So basically what you're telling me is I pay off a credit card, I should just go buy more because it's already in my budget. It's being paid for. I'm really having a hard time figuring out how we're going to buy something for $1 million and our taxes aren't going up. Maybe someone could explain that.
Mr. Schultz.
I'll use another analogy, Brutus, Mr. Kendreggi. I live in a very old house. Every year I spend a good chunk of money maintaining it and fixing it. After I finish fixing the bathroom, I have to fix the kitchen. After the kitchen, the front steps. That's this year's project, by the way. So I'm always constantly reinvesting in my home, and it's the same pot of money. I have about, well, a certain amount that I could spend each year on it, and that's what the municipal borrowing allows us to do. We've used money to buy fire engines in the past. We've used this money to buy other things. So as this debt rolls around, we just keep recycling that debt to buy other assets to improve our town. So a 2.5 debt exclusion would have raised our taxes. It would have been paid for like the school, the library, the police station, the DPW. Well, not the DPW, I'm sorry. The school, police, or fire station, or library. But this is just using the same money, so there is no tax increase associated with it. If we didn't use that money to pay for this project, we could have used it to put a little bit more money into different projects in town. And the way it works, it's about $50,000 a year of payment on principal, and then the town is in the fortunate position to be able to only pay interest on the outstanding portion. So every year the interest falls. It's not like your home mortgage. We pay off $50,000 the first year, we pay interest on the outstanding portion. Each year it goes down, the interest we pay.
Madam Moderator?
Mr. Cantareggi?
So if you had a good year and nothing broke in your house, that means you'd have extra money, right? So that means you would have more money in your budget to do other things, or you could save money, or you could give it back to the residents because we don't have to spend that money. Or,
Please hold your applause. Thank you.
or is the finance committee said we did not have 300, I gotta have my glasses, I'm getting old, $363,877 to save the beautiful old train station, keep that water tight, because we don't have the money. We could have used bond money for that and saved that, and our rates wouldn't have gone up. So I just have a hard time with the financing. I think a lot of it's a play on words, because we are paying for it.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
not free.
I see what you're doing.
Hi, Ellen Rosenfeld, 12 Evergreen Terrace. I just remember the last time the town of Millis put a shovel in the ground. It was when they were building the new police station. They came up with a shovel full of contaminated dirt that added, if I remember correctly, $1 million to the cost of construction of that building. And I was shocked at the time that nobody had conducted a preliminary 21E, which is the test you do for contaminated land. Has anybody conducted a 21E on this property?
Madam Moderator? Okay.
So, Ms. Rosenfeld, when we do exercise a right of first refusal under Chapter 61A, we have to return a purchase and sale agreement to the seller. That purchase and sale agreement would have typical contingencies. We have the right under 61A to do some superficial examination, and there has been some of that, but I would expect the traditional environmental contingencies here.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah, and Madam Moderator.
Mr. Schultz?
Yeah, one other point. We did do the environmental study on the police station, just so people understand. It was missed, but okay.
Sir. Sir.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Shamrang Khalsa. I live at 151 Acorn Street. And we also own the 9+ acres of property adjacent to this land. And we look out over this land. So first off, I just want to point out the obvious that I love this land. It's beautiful. The wildlife there is extraordinary. And it is next to, it abuts on one side are 9+ acres and another side a 33-acre area of land that I believe the town owns already. So this is a nice expanse of land. And I understand that the town I'm in favor of the article. I understand that the town is hoping to exercise an option that leaves options open for the future, and understand there might be better uses than open space in the wisdom of the town in the future. But in specific, the plan that the current developer has is to put 46 units on 12 acres of land. Now, he's only, as my understanding, putting it on the 12 acres, not out of the goodness of his heart, but because this is a wetland. So he can't use the rest of that land. And consider 46 units on 12 acres. What is that, 3.5 units per acre? Does anyone here live on a piece of land that's, that small? This is a very congested property development plan that I think is going to be horribly ugly. Now, I have my interest of looking over that land, but I think it's also disingenuous of the developer to say, oh, we're going to put money and even a parking lot for people to visit the adjacent area of land. Because if you look at his drawings, he's putting a parking lot that would be on the opposite side of a development of 46 units on 12 acres. And I don't think it would be a very encouraging place for people to go drive and park and have a walk through nature. So it's my hope that we purchase this land, and if it's used for recreation or even a building in the future for the town of Millis, or if we sell it and recoup the money that we've invested in it and use it for something else. All of those options appear to me to be greatly preferable to having basically a hunk of Brooklyn in the town of Millis. I moved here over almost 40 years ago. One of the appeals of this town to me is its rural nature, pretty close to, a metropolis. But this is not something that I would like to see sacrificed for the sake of a development that is not, I think, in line in a coherent way with the what we have as a beautiful land of Millis. Thank you.
Sir?
Hello, Mark Robbins, 58 Walnut. First off, I just want to get clarification, then I'll go into my second part. According to the booklet I have here, and I believe you just said this, taxes will not be increased to purchase this property, but on something that came in the mail, it says that estimated tax increase is $30 per year per household for 20 years. So if we're going to buy this, which one is the real news and which one's the fake news here?
Madam Moderator. I always put my faith in what the elected, the town accountant, the town assessor, not a piece of mail that I received from an anonymous group to my home that had a few factual errors in it. That was not a town mailing that came out that talked about the 33.
Yeah.
I don't believe it was.
No.
I received a slick that came out that said it was that. But no, we've done our study. It's not there will not be a tax increase. The only way taxes in the town can increase is through a Prop 2.5 override. And since we're not going to the ballot box to vote on this, taxes cannot increase, period.
Okay. And to the previous gentleman, I believe his words were, we have a small Brooklyn, New York or whatever to that effect. Several years ago, I don't know if opening the Pandora's box is the right words, but that's what I'll use. With the Glen Ellen Toll Brothers project, we now have I call it West Millis because it's almost like a separate town within Millis. And we have a lot of infrastructure cost in this town over the past several years, and we need to pay for those things. We can't pick money from the trees, and we can't keep saddling current residents. I've been in town for 32 years and trying to reach retirement age and there's a lot of other people like me who can't continue to absorb higher and higher taxes. But if we think about it, if we bring another development into this town with people that aren't going to have kids in school and whatnot, can bring in tax revenue to help the roads that are in deplorable shape and all the other things that we need to pay for to have, more of a upscale town than what it was 32 years ago when I moved here. So, think about it. We let Glen Ellen go because we didn't have 13 million, and we've got a lot of tax revenue that's coming into this town as a result of that. That, to me, personally, is the only upside of it. Otherwise, I miss the golf course and the pool, but it is what it is. So to have a piece of property that, and by the way, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Cassidy property just directly across from Oak Grove is town property that could be used for recreation or whatever, and is not being developed for that. It hasn't been, and I don't know if there's any plans for that. So to bring on another piece of property just seems to stress our limited income that we have in this town for other things that need to be spent money on. Thank you very much.
Sir?
Brendan Seebecker, 420 Village Street. I'm just curious, how much non-developed land does this town currently own?
I'll defer to a lot of wetlands in the town. I guess you're talking about developable land?
Both. Actually, a breakdown would be great.
Do we have that information?
There's a photo.
Madam Moderator, I can't provide here a specific number of acreage. I know we have, for the benefit of the voters here, put up a map, which is next to the DPW truck, which some of you may have seen on the way in. All the yellow properties indicate the town properties, town-owned properties. as has been spoken earlier, there are a lot of properties, but many of them have restrictions upon them, so they can't be used for certain uses that the town may need in the future. But unfortunately, I can't give you an exact number of the acreage of developable land that the town owns.
Sure. And I think as the gentleman just before me said, there currently does appear to be a lot of town-owned land that isn't developed, that could be developed. This proposal seems to generate a large amount of tax revenue that we could, in the future, use things, right? We're all hypothesizing about what could happen. You suggested we could sell the land in the future for something, but the price could drop. We wouldn't be able to then, pay for the bond. I don't know. The idea of spending $1 million for a future purpose that we don't know seems to be faulty logic to me. So I'm definitely against this. Thank you. Oh, a lot of land.
Sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Please.
My name is Siri Kadam Singh Khalsa. My first name is Siri Kadam. I live in the Sikh ashram at 368 Village Street. I'd like to mention that this month marks my 37th anniversary as a Millis resident. I came here for a 3-week visit in May of 1984 and have never left. So my first point is, don't invite me to your home for dinner. This is also the 40th anniversary of our Sikh community's move here to Millis in 1981. We moved here in part because we were drawn by the beauty of the environment. About 10 of us over this time have bought private homes in Millis. And I believe that this motion preserves the beauty of the environment in part, and because, what draws so many of us here. And I think it's important that we look at this land and support this motion because it gives us the opportunity to plan the best use of it over time rather than responding to a particular developer's interests of the moment. And God bless you all, and God bless the town we all love.
Ma'am?
Hello, how are you? My name is Louisa Marshall Santos, 243 Pleasant Street. I think I'm here as an environmentalist, but also a realist. And I have had I've lived in Millis for over 50 years. I grew up on 173 Orchard Street. So I have seen what the Bogastow Circle did. I have seen now what the Glen Ellen thing has done to the environment. And recently, 17 years ago, moved to Pleasant Street, the historic Rockville. And with the Himble Farm development, it has completely destroyed the 5 acres that I know with the runoff and the development. And I know that that's not exactly what we're talking about over at the Braun property. But I think that people need to realize that sometimes less is far better. If we develop every single open land that we have that is developable, we're going to turn into another, excuse me, or if I offend anybody, but another Bellingham, another Milford, another town that we can't enjoy what we all moved here for and aspire and love. And I just hope that everyone will please take in consideration that less is more. Thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me? My name is Judy O'Gara. I live at 63 Van Cleek Road. I moved to Millis from the city. I grew up in the city. I grew up adjacent to East Boston, which about 20 years ago had the lowest amount of open space of all of the Boston areas. And that was due to incremental building by Massport. My concern, I want to echo the comments that people have said. If we buy it, this is an investment. Real estate is expensive now, it's only going up. And it's an investment for the town. We can turn around and sell it, but if we use it for open space, it's valuable. If we use it for a friendly, large 40B, we're still protecting open space. I live behind a development that has impacted my family greatly. That's a 40B project. If anybody knows about 40B, Millis, like a lot of other towns, is woefully under its 10% of affordable housing. That opens it up to 40B development, which can be stuck in small increments like what's behind my house, a 1.6 acre parcel that has 12 monstrous units on it, houses. Only 3 of those units were sold as affordable housing, which is a drop in the bucket. If we owned a parcel like this, we could do what Medway's doing right now and build a condo or apartment unit where every unit could be, or it could be senior affordable housing, could be contributable toward that 40B goal. And what a result would be, I'm not saying that we should do that necessarily, would be we would be able to not have to accept 40B projects in small areas where houses would be crowded in. So I support buying it, not only because it's an investment in open space, but think creatively, think down the road. You know, we can have control of it. We can decide, you know, do we want to have affordable housing? Do we want to meet that goal and not have the state come in and tell us what to do and you know, passively accept our fate with these tiny 40B projects that give us a couple of houses? I'm in favor of purchasing the land. Thank you.
Hi, can we lift this? Yeah. Hi, Ellen Rosenfeld again, 12 Evergreen Terrace. I've been a developer my whole life. My father was a developer. He made a speech at town meeting 35, maybe 40 years ago to buy Oak Grove Farm for no money. And they voted to buy it. And his speech then was, real estate is an asset. I know it might go down a little bit, always comes back. It's finite. Where else can you put your money today? You can borrow for very low interest rate, $1 million, it sounds like a lot. I think the developers got some kind of a plan for 45 or 50 units. That's like 20 grand a piece, which is nothing. This puts the control in the town's hands. They can do so many things with it. It will always have its value, and I think it's good for the town.
Madam Moderator.
Ms. Boyardi?
Joyce Boyardi, 206 Orchard Street. Closer? Hello? Hi. I'm very in favor of purchasing this land. It will be an asset for this town. It isn't going to have the restrictions that some of the open space that we have in this town is going to have. And as Ms. Rosenfeld said, land increases. More and more homes are being built. More and more land is being taken up with these houses. More and more habitats being destroyed. This is something that will increase in value and will have many options for the town. We will not be restricted, so that if in time we find that the price is right and we choose to sell it off, we could have that opportunity. And it isn't that it's going to cost the town any more money. As it was spoken about, this is going to be something that is just going to roll over, and the cost to the residents is not going to gain. We may not go down, but I look at this piece of property as being an incredible asset. I do get a little concerned about putting a 55 and older community over there. As much as I feel that the Glen Ellen was a very nice project, it also has put an impact on our fire department and police department. It used to be the people who used to go golfing, racing by my house. I live on Orchard Street. Now it's the fire department and the police department racing by my house, going up to the 55 and older community. Thank you.
Sir?
Eli Jacobson, 195 Farm Street. I just have a quick procedural question that I'm hoping will help all of our understanding of next steps if we were to move forward with purchasing the land. How does the decision get made for what we do decide to do with it? So who has the input to make the proposals, and how does the town then vote on that? Does it happen here at town meeting? Do we vote on it at the poll? How does it work if we do move forward?
I'm going to have our town administrator address that process for you.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Should the town meeting today authorize the select board to go ahead and purchase the property, assuming, all the testing and different aspects come through, the town could then purchase the property. If the town were to do anything major with the property, if it would like to sell the property down the road, if it would like to put a building on the property, any major project, the board would be coming back to this body to seek your authorization for either funding for a building, funding to sell it, or any other option. So any further major action with the property would have to come back through the town meeting.
Thank you. Is it true that there's a time limit, that if we do purchase the land, something has to be done within a certain amount of time? And what happens if nothing happens?
Madam Moderator. Madam Moderator. Yeah, no, there is no time limit for us after we acquire it. There is a time limit for us in which we must acquire it. And that clock is ticking now. In fact, that clock may be done. I mean, there was a 120-day limit, but then this COVID thing happened, and that delayed things a bit. But we do have a very limited amount of time to make this decision, and that's why it does feel a bit rushed. But once we own the land, it's ours to decide what we do with over however many years it takes us.
Thank you.
Sir?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Scott Fusey, 411 Union. This is a good investment for the town for a lot of different reasons. I think if you look down the road, if the town wanted to purchase it for a couple of years, have it. We have a capital planning committee. They can look at it. They can put trails up. They can do whatever. It's $1 million. But I mean, if we sell it, we can sell it and then put that money to roads, other things that were addressed here today. But I think it's a good investment for the town. And I think, right now, land, it could go up if we don't later on. But, we can always sell it and use it for other expenses in town. And I want to thank Jim McCaffrey for all his years of service to the town. Thank you, Jim.
Ma'am?
Good afternoon. Sue Toller, Hilltop Drive. This year marks my 21st year in this community. I married a townie, so I don't know what that makes me yet, but I love this town. But we struggle as a community because we see some of our young people not able to find a place to live because of the cost of housing. And I'm thrilled that I received a phone call from a real estate agent offering me $375,000 for my house. But I also know what it was like to have that starter home when I was living in Nashville. We have to think about what an investment for a community that is for the best of everyone that lives in the community and potentially who could live in the community. We have an opportunity for something called smart growth. We own the property, we decide. We're not at the mercy of a developer to tell us he's going to throw us 12 acres of open space, and we don't have any say in that. We have to just cross our fingers and hope that it's in the best interest. We have an opportunity to be the owner. We can create cottage-style homes that would be for young people to have for the community. We have a chance to decide. That's what it should be about. As a community, we get to decide. I vote in favor of the option.
Sir.
Wayne Clocko, 85 Walnut Street. I moved here in 1984. In the 36 years I've lived here, I've seen the town discourage development over and over again. I think growth, controlled growth, is good. The only growth that has occurred in this town, certainly in the last 10 years that I have information from, is in the population that's over 60 years of age. Today, that population has increased in the last 10 years from 18% to 27%. If you take out the school-age children from that equation, the people over 60 years old make up a third of the taxpayers in this town. I have a hard time understanding how the Finance Committee could recommend this approval of this article when it has a negative effect on the top line, the revenue line for the town. It has a negative effect on the bottom line, on the expense line of the town. And I question its fiduciary responsibility to the town in making a positive recommendation for it. For the last 25 years, I have been the chairman of the town's permanent building committee. We have overseen remodeling of the school that's behind us, construction of a new Clyde Brown School for $48 million. We've constructed a police station, we've renovated a fire station, we've established a town hall. Those bills will yet come, but our population stays the same, and it's getting older, and it's being more thrust on the burden of people on fixed incomes. I have a hard time understanding how we can accept our fantastically high tax rate when we struggle to maintain basic service. And so I vote against this.
Ma'am?
Cindy Newell, 351 Village Street. I move the question, if that's an appropriate thing to do at this time.
There's a motion to move the question. It's been seconded. This is not a debatable motion. And it is a two-thirds. And we need a two-thirds majority in order to do this. I will take a voice vote to start. All those in favor of ending debate by moving the question, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
No. Okay. We're going to try this doing a standing count because I honestly could not make a call on that. All those in favor of moving the question and ending debate, please stand up. Sorry, I forgot I wasn't in front of the mic. If you could sit down now, and anybody that is opposed to ending debate, please stand.
Here's your count.
And I could ask that the tellers please not get in the way of me understanding who's standing in that regard. Okay, the motion to end debate has passed by a two-thirds majority. Thank you very much. We will now move on to a vote on the article on the floor, which is Article 20. This also needs a 2/3 majority. I would like to start with a voice vote. All those in favor of Article 20, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, we are going to do a standing count on this. So I would ask that everybody stay seated until the tellers are in position. Did we make accommodations?
If this goes through.
Okay, I apologize, folks. This is just going to take a moment. We did have added seats put down, and I want to make sure we're covering all bases before we start the standing count.
No, they haven't taken it yet.
Again, I appreciate your patience. Everybody that is currently standing needs to take a seat before we start this process. The only people that should be standing at the moment are the tellers. Thank you. All those in favor of Article 20, please stand up and stay standing until you are told to sit down. Thank you.
Take my spot.
Oh, I don't.
Something you said.
There, north, row one is the north.
Next one. They make that motion. I don't think somebody would, even if that's what they're amending, I have, if that's all they're doing, it's fine. Yeah. They can come and wipe it. That's true.
Right. First you want to press the major to bartender. Just can make any drink anywhere.
Yeah. Yes,
It's actually nice out
Mine
there.
for road.
Yeah.
This man here, he wasn't, he couldn't stand it. 1, 2, 3, and there were 2 at the end.
Great. Go and stand in the seats.
I just got she's smart. That's right. I was in Why wouldn't it last? I don't know. Basket. It wouldn't work well. That much, not enough profit. But we can go. I don't need to rent. Our income to the house. Exactly. Or something. So they will pay. That's what yeah. Yes. That. If you look at the 10 years, yeah, it's net. It's negative. It's a cost.
Row 5 here.
It is.
This row, yeah, 5. All right.
And I'm not sure. So I'm also Is that? I think I'll change the vote. No, I don't know. So no, because he's pretty active. One so I don't know how to take these because if you ever run for which right now there's
Excuse me, folks. Everybody needs to return to their original spot that they stood in. I understand some people are moving around. It's making it very difficult for us to take the count. I would ask, although I know people want to socialize, that you go back to where you were standing so that we can confirm our count. Chris? Is our standing count complete for the yays? Okay, those people can sit down now, please. So I would ask everybody to sit back down again, please. All those opposed to Article 20, please stand and stay standing until you're counted. And please don't move. Thank you. Well, you can move your body, but just don't move it from its space. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Well, fine. A little feet are cool, right? Yeah. For some reason, my feet, I always look feet. Certain things. I feel like it's which ones? Following ourselves. I can't
It's better than it was.
Yeah.
I understand we get to take these home.
Yeah, if there was chocolate, that would be an issue. We haven't had lunch, we tried to grits.
I really appreciate your patience as we move through this. It's important that we get it right.
Okay, if you're all set, did you take them up, Lisa? Okay. It was this count went off. I don't know if you did this before. This was off on one.
Oh, we have to add one over
Add
here.
one to the yeses and 10 no's. Put this on your table.
Sure. Count the 10 4. Go up it all.
Yeah.
Go down. That's one.
Well, we had 11.
Oh, 11 more people came in?
Yeah.
So this is 20 plus 11. I just, I don't know. We'll see what it's over.
I thought the hurricane was over yesterday. It's a season changing. That's my driveway, garage is right here.
Uh-oh.
So, like
My
about
gavel.
3 inches of water or so.
Okay?
This is the village.
Yeah, that's what happens when flooding happens on that corner.
Okay, everybody, you can sit down. We're just going to do some calculations.
Jeez.
Tell my kids they can go.
It's freezing.
Yeah, that's my kid in the back. Green bandana.
Okay, again, thank you very much for your patience. We have the tally of the vote. We have 237 yeses and 95 noes, which covers the 2/3 majority, and the article passes. I want to thank you all for your patience as we worked through this. We're now going to take a 5-minute recess.
All right, Doc.
Okay, folks. We still have 10 articles to get through.
Go out on an uptick. I'm so psyched.
I'd appreciate it if everybody took their seat and we can start getting through the rest of these. Mr. McCaffrey, if you wouldn't mind, please. God, getting to chastise Mr. McCaffrey at his last meeting. Doug is here? Yes, he is. Okay. Mr. Riley, I think you need to turn on your mic.
They'll turn it on.
Oh, actually, they need to turn it on.
They'll turn it on. Keep talking.
Hello.
Up, there we go. No?
All right, how's that, better?
That is much better.
Okay, Madam Moderator,
Mr. Riley,
I move that the town vote to approve Article 21 as written in the warrant.
do I hear? It's been moved and seconded that Article 21, I'm sorry, discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Riley.
this article amends Section 20 of the town's zoning bylaws governing large-scale ground-mounted solar installations. It extends the bylaws applicability to land primarily used for farming or agricultural purposes, as described in Mass General Law, Chapter 61A, Section 2A. The Finance Committee is recommending this be approved. Just for a couple of points, this does not change the underlying use of the land. This applies to land that is for agricultural and horticultural use only. This is an additional use of that land. Also, the energy that's generated by any solar or actually any renewable source that's put on this property is only for the exclusive use of that property and is limited to 125% of the property's energy needs. The land also must continue to be actively used for agricultural or horticultural purposes.
Okay, the Millis Planning Board on April 6, 2021, at a public meeting via Zoom, voted unanimously to recommend approval if this article is written to amend the zoning bylaw amendment, large-scale ground-mounted solar photovoltaic installation for agricultural use. Further discussion? Sir?
Hello, Richard Nichols, 47 Grove Street, Millis, Mass. I'm also the chairman of the planning board. This article was brought forth to help farmers in the area. There is farming is not, unfortunately, a very productive thing to make money on, and this is one way that they can get some additional income. It has to be a certain size, so it has to be of 15 acres. So there's only a few parcels in town that it would actually pertain to. And they are required, like it was stated before, to maintain a agricultural or like farming of the land along with that. So that's just a little follow-up on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Moderator and Select Board. My name is Nancy Downs. I'm at 2 Meadowbrook Road. I understand that siting solar is complex, and as a resident adjacent to farmland, I'm concerned about the loss of viewshed and decreased property value. I urge you to take caution in the rush to go green, as you'll change neighborhoods and ruin farmland landscapes. I understand this is a contentious debate of green energy versus green space. Eating up farmland for green energy sometimes ends up not being that green, but I don't wish to take away from farmers having additional income. I do urge you to protect your natural resources. So I urge the town of Millis to first explore all viable rooftop parking lot spaces for solar warehouses. Even this place, look at the high school parking lot, so that you can still meet your clean energy goals, and please protect your natural resources and open space. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Kirsten Jensen, Plain Street. On the Millis Town Forum, someone posted a website, Farmer's Guide to Going Solar, which showed how solar arrays could be raised to heights that would allow planting and grazing beneath the arrays. I looked at it and I thought, wow, that's really great, and it's a wonderful use of farmland. However, reviewing all the pictures, the one thing I did not see were the back doors of neighboring residents. Protection for homeowners in the proposed Article 21 is woefully inadequate. I do not see where it properly addresses a requirement stating that when commercial solar installations are abutting residential neighbors, there should be increased consideration for mitigation visual impact. Even if a minimum standard included that any abutting residents should be free from viewing, fencing, roadways, above-ground utility poles, and arrays, then what kind or types of greenery would be used to achieve such mitigation requirements? On Farm Street, I see that the green mitigation used are currently 3-foot-tall arborvitaes that are placed about 20 yards apart. The installation of such industrial solar sites should not be taking place 40 feet from a Millis resident's back door. Not backyard, but their back door. These are commercial, industrial, manufacturing sites and should be zoned accordingly to preserve the rights of abutters to use and enjoy their property and backyards without the detrimental impact of viewing thousands of solar arrays 8 feet tall or more. Prior proposals submitted to the town of Millis have shown the installations to take place as far as possible from the landowner's residence. It appears They also understand the detriment to viewing such structures 40 feet from their kitchen table will have on their property. What would happen if there was a requirement that all setbacks be the same distance from the landowner's structure? I respectfully request that Millis residents vote no on Article 21 until these matters can be properly addressed for any further considerations for such amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, sir.
Madam Moderator, Jay McGilligan, 332 Plain Street. I am not in a butter to any developable parcel regarding solar production, solar power production. But I would ask everyone to vote against this, given the treatment and sort of the plan in respect to my neighbors. I would choose to be a good neighbor to them. They've been a good neighbor to me, and I think that they would be a good neighbor to you too. And that's where it should go. One other issue that I would raise is that if you do look up PFAS, PFAS is part of a family of chemicals like PFOA that are called forever chemicals. They do reside in all of us, and the contents, the density of these PFOAs and PFASs are growing in concentration. We've talked about it in our water amendments and things like that. The EPA has found that solar panels are made with PFAS chemicals. So voting for something like this without doing more research could just further the cycle of having to remediate one thing when we feel we've solved another. So it really does, if we believe in science, I think that's an important topic today. If we do believe in science, we should let the science kind of work things out, determine if these are actually safe or if they're actually going to cost us more money to remediate in the future. I would recommend voting against this.
Madam Moderator?
Mr. Riley.
Just to make a point of clarification, and I'll ask town council to correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not discussing giving someone permission to do something. We're discussing how to regulate something that they are allowed to do already. This is a statute that's on the books in Massachusetts, and anyone who owns private property that is zoned, that is agricultural and horticultural, can do this. They have to come before the town, and they have to, follow our normal town guidelines. But I mean, it's going to be easier if we regulate it and put our own restrictions on. But this is not really a question of giving someone permission. We're talking about private property, and the statute that's on the books in Massachusetts allows this to be done. We're really discussing whether or not we want to put an amendment into our bylaws that allows us to regulate how it's done.
Sir? JB, okay? Would you like to speak? One moment, sir.
Of course.
I'm sorry, being behind me is now problematic.
So let me amplify that comment. That was right on the money. So without saying whether or not this is the right form of regulation of this, the way the statutes work in Massachusetts with respect to solar is it's treated the same way as educational, agricultural, or religiously used property, and that is that you can't prohibit it outright, but what you can do is reasonably regulate it. So when towns approach zoning bylaws relating to solar, a form of confining it to certain scope and having screening and number of acres are the kinds of things that we're allowed to do. Saying no altogether really is a recipe for saying yes altogether, because if we don't regulate it at all, people can generally do it wherever they want. So I understand the planning board's effort here to have some common sense control over a use that's essentially allowed as a matter of right throughout the Commonwealth in every zoning district.
Thank you. Sir?
Kim Taewan,
27 Cottage Ave. I would like to start off with some technical questions. What's the total acreage of the lot?
Okay, sir, all of this information aren't all these questions answered in the article, Mr. Riley? I'm sorry.
Is it 15?
Yes, Mr. Riley.
Yeah, it has to be 15 acres minimum, and it's in the article. All of the details are in the article.
I must have missed that. So I know that I did read that it's a minimum 15 acres, but what about the lot size of one that they're proposing on right now? And how much of that?
Mr. Sir, we're not proposing anything. This is simply to put regulation in place.
Right.
So there is no proposal in front of the town to do anything. Is that correct, Mr. Riley?
You know what? I understand what you're saying. So back to what I was asking, what's the lot size?
Sir, 15 acres minimum, as Mr. Riley just mentioned, and it is in the article.
Okay, then I'll move on from this. How do we get to the 15-acre minimum lot size? How do we determine that?
Statute.
By the statute, as council and the member of the FinCom noted, this is already allowed. What we are putting in place is regulations around it that are our own versus the more blanket ones that might be out there.
Okay.
Madam Moderator? The statute is 61A, Section 2A.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Are we going to do an impact study and scenic impact study on this? Will that be part of this also?
Sir, again, this is simply regulation that we're putting in place.
Right, but will that regulation include impact studies?
Mr.
No.
No.
Okay. And will it be required that installation of these solar panels, obviously, talking about the ground covering underneath, will they be required to grow something under there, or will it just be bare?
The way the statute is written, it's not necessarily so that there will be crops growing directly underneath. The regulations allow for panels to be put up on land that isn't immediately being used to grow crops, but as long as that land is part of land that is regularly used as agricultural or horticultural, for agricultural or horticultural purposes, it's included, and the panels can be put on that. So there's a number of examples that are included on the state's website that give some information as to a situation that would be allowed and wouldn't be allowed.
Okay. And is there a minimum or maximum height allowable for the solar installation?
I can't answer that one.
Okay. The other question is part of this, will there be something about at the time of decommission and recycling?
What is this again?
I'm not sure we understand the question, sir.
Well,
it's not addressed.
Jay Tallerman?
Yeah, decommissioning security is almost always required for solar installations where they would have to put up a bond or other security for decommissioning and restoration of the site if in fact it is retired or decommissioned.
Okay, gotcha. What about, is there also part of that as a recycling part of that also at the time of decommission? Because the reason I ask is currently U.S. doesn't have any laws regarding recycling solar panels, but solar panels require high heat and acid to break those materials down for reuse.
We wouldn't regulate that as a matter of zoning. This is really more just the land use part of it.
Okay.
So that would kind of go beyond the zoning elements of it. Likely that the recycling, because the value when it's decommissioned is in the materials themselves. So that is part of the industry as I understand it, but it's not something that would be in the four corners of zoning law.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Ma'am?
Thank you. Sir?
I'm Mike Brenberg, Plain Street. So this article, as it is now, would allow on Plain Street, from Village Street to Spring Street, along the Meadowbrook condominiums to Tangerini's Farm, a solar industrial complex would be allowed as it was previously submitted to the town. With our small lots on Plain Street, our homes are 40 feet from the property line. Up would go a fence, a road, and 55 feet from our homes would be elevated power lines. And the solar arrays would be allowed less than 100 feet from our homes. The setbacks in this Article 21 are inadequate, and other small lots and residential homes throughout town will also face this scenario. This creates a great financial loss for the direct abutters, and it hurts the values of the neighbors. It would also destroy the everyday enjoyment and use of our homes and land. And as I hear you people speaking up here, I understand we don't want to get rid of solar altogether. We just want them cited responsibly. For that reason, I would like to make a motion for an amendment. Section 2, number 9, A, B, and C. All roadways, above-ground utilities, arrays, and appurtenant structures necessary for the operation of a commercial solar photovoltaic installation shall be physically located a distance of 200 feet away from the nearest habitable structure on an adjacent lot. Got a second?
Okay, the amendment has been moved and seconded.
She's going to want a written copy of that.
She has it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that from the nearest habitable lot?
Oh, yeah, I'll give you a copy. I have it. I'll give you my copy.
No, you hang on to it.
I have
the
one.
word. Okay, thank you.
I took it out of the 16th amendment.
Thank you.
Sir? Sir? We need some clarification.
Thank you.
Please clarify what you're doing here in terms of adding another, like an E, or is your amendment adding this to A, B, and C?
In section 2, number 9, it talks about on A, B, and C, whether it's the front yard, the side yard, or the rear yard. It says on each of those,
So
about 50 wide, 50 feet from the property line, and I'm putting in 200 feet from the residential
We
structure.
would need the amendment to state that you're substituting language.
Can
So
I-
that's why we need some clarification here. So your amendment is written, gives us language, but we're unclear whether you're substituting language or adding language.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. Get a little calm here, you know?
So, yeah, this is, I believe, his first time speaking at town.
Second, did this
Second,
6
okay,
years ago
second.
here. Still scared to death.
Yeah.
So, it says on A, B, and C, where each section says front, side, and rear, we would want to remove where it says not less than 50 foot, and we would want it to say front, rear, and side 200 feet from the nearest habitable structure. Yeah, each of those, it says 50 feet from the property line. We want to be 200 feet from the structure.
So it's not that one, it's the other 50 foot?
The other one. All right, here I am. Can I get some help here?
Sir, we're going to hold this in abeyance, and our town council would like to discuss this with you so we can make sure we get your wording correct. And in the meantime, if we have further commentary on Article 21, we'd like to hear it. Ma'am?
Hang on. Oh. Okay. Hi, Jen Zaretsky, owner of 140 Causeway. I do share the concerns of my fellow citizens of Millis that a big solar array next to their houses would be, problematic for the reasons just articulated. However, I've been approached by multiple developers about putting a solar array out where I live. It's the big farm on 140, and I have a backfield that I'm currently growing hemp on that nobody sees. The problem is, though, is there's no phase 3 power or 3-phase power out to it. So I guess if the town puts this forward as it is, doesn't it constructively force these farms to be only those farms near where the power lines are? And what, if anything, would the town do to get it to go to farms where there wasn't the appropriate power supply and would be away from everybody else? I am very far away from my neighbors, and I don't think anybody would be bothered by it. So just wondering if you could clarify that.
I understand your question, but I believe this is actually outside the scope of the bylaw that we're trying to address here in the article.
I guess I'm just wondering, does the article do enough to address everybody's concerns that, are being heard? Maybe the amendment
And that can
would
be
block
part
it.
of our discussion, but it's
Okay.
not really a question, per se. Thank you. Sir?
Point of order.
I'm sorry, Mr. Angelo, point of order?
Well, there's a motion on the floor that's been seconded. Can you keep on taking other people's questions?
Yes, according to our town council, we can continue debate while they're having that discussion. Sir?
Yeah, Thomas Howard. I live on 343 Plain Street, and I agree a lot with Mike saying. The one point I wanted to bring up was about the glare and the reflective light.
Stand up straight, please.
I actually live where Tangerini's farm has solar panels on their roof, and 1 hour every day, my mom, who lives right next to me, has to literally close her shades because the reflection comes right into her window. And that's only one roof. I can't imagine having a whole field of solar panels and a field beaming back in our windows. I mean, that's my biggest concern.
Thank you, sir.
Richard Nichols, 47 Grove Street, Chairman of the Planning Board. Once again, I just want to reiterate that.
Skip forward.
They can hear me. Can everyone hear me? Okay, good. Thank you. With the Dover Amendment, if we put something in, if we now put something in it to regulate it, we have the ability to guide them to what we want to do. If we don't, like Jay said, solar, they can go in by right and just do it themselves. So as much as people may not like the whole thing of solar coming in, we have a way of regulating it if we pass this. If we don't, it's fair game. So it's all up to you guys. Thank you.
Sir?
Madam Chair, Bruce Kenreggy, 7 Blueberry
Madam
Lane.
Moderator, but...
Oh, man, I'm sorry. As a farmer, and my property is in 61A, sometimes I think it's a slippery slope when you start trying to regulate what we do, because, everybody loves moving the country, everybody likes farms, but you know what? They don't like the smell of pigs, And we're going to get rid of that. But I will say, as a former planning board member for many years, the town needs these regulations, because if not, people get to just come in and do what they want. So I really, really think we need this. That way at least we can guide them. It's very, very good because it is a big impact on the neighborhood. So as a farmer, I support this. Thank you.
Thank you, and I think we've... Okay, we've had some clarification on the amendment on the floor. And the intention is to add the proposed language to the end of section A, B, and C of section 9 of part 2. And I'll read that again. So we would be adding it to the end. The things above would stay. And then this would be added. All roadways, above-ground utility poles, arrays, I can't say this word, structures necessary for the operation of a commercial solar photovoltaic installation shall be physically located a distance of 200 feet away from the nearest habitable structure on an adjacent lot. So that is the amendment that is before us. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Okay, so I'd like to take a vote on the amendment. This is a simple majority on this. So all those in favor of the amendment that's on the floor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries by majority. We will now vote on the amended article. Any further discussion of the article, the amended article?
Brooks Coral, 1032 Main Street. I have a question on 9D, and I may be wrong, but as I read this, it looks like the planning board could almost, at any basis, reduce that 15-foot tree barrier and eliminate A, B, and C. I hope I'm wrong about that.
Madam Moderator? That's me.
Oh, Mr. Schultz.
We've lost the person that had this article. Having seen many of these zoning articles, almost all of them give the planning board opportunities to, and flexibility, thank you. They give the planning board opportunity and flexibility to amend them or change them. It's fairly common to see that. I think the town attorney's standing up, unless I've said something wrong. Yeah. So yes, they would have the opportunity to do that. Typically they wouldn't though, but you did give the planning board flexibility to do their job.
Any further discussion of Article 21? Okay, this is a 2/3 majority vote needed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? It carries with the 2/3 majority.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move that the town vote to dismiss Article 22.
I hear a second. It's been moved and seconded to dismiss Article 22. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
this article would amend the town's zoning bylaws regarding parking spaces to allow for reduction in the minimum required dimensions from 9-foot width by 20-foot length to 9-foot width by 19-foot length. The Finance Committee recommends dismissal of the article.
Any discussion? All those in favor of dismissing Article 22, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries by majority.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
Article 23, I move that the town vote to approve Article 23 as written in the warrant.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion?
This article would amend the town's bylaws regarding parking spaces to allow, by special permit, in lots with more than 20 spaces, up to 33% of the number of spaces to be designated for compact cars, with such spaces having the minimum required dimensions of 8-foot width by 16-foot length. The Finance Committee recommends approval of the article.
The Millis Planning Board held public meetings on March 9, 2021 and April 6, 21 via Zoom via Zoom and voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article as written to amend the zoning bylaw amendment compact car parking. Any further discussion of Article 23? Okay. This is also a two-thirds majority. I'm sorry, sir, are you speaking to the article? Okay, I looked up. There you go.
Kevin McCarthy, Exchange Street. Does this include indoor parking, or is it just for outside parking?
I'm not aware. I don't know. Mr. Nichols here.
I
I don't know.
The question is whether this includes indoor parking as well as outdoor parking. Do we have indoor parking?
Mr. Nichols was.
We have plans to.
Okay, no, I wasn't being flipped there. I was simply asking a question.
I think Richard.
The best interpretation, without looking at the whole zoning bylaw, is that it's all exterior parking, because it's a discussion of reduction of impervious surface. That said, I can't sit here and tell you that it couldn't potentially be applied if we developed a parking garage, an indoor parking garage. But the best interpretation of it is that it's applying to exterior parking. Certainly not private garages. It's only for the surface parking.
I understand. It's just, it was, the proposed building down at the Herman Shoe. I'm just wondering how they're going to jam all those cars into that lot. Is this what this?
No, well, that proposed project is under Chapter 40B, so this wouldn't apply to it anyway, because they developed their own parking regulations and go through a different regulatory scheme. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Sir?
I oppose this amendment.
Identify yourself.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Kim Tae-wan, 27 Cottage.
Thank you.
Pardon me. Thank you again. Anyways, I oppose this because in our town, compact cars are obviously not the thing. And to shorten to 16 feet would not be acceptable, because standard vehicles cannot fit in a 16 feet parking space. And if you're looking at the market trend of compact cars, last year, first half of the year saw a decrease of 40% in compact vehicle sales. Previous year, we saw nearly 20% drop. So we're pushing for something that is going away, or the way of the dodos, actually. So I understand why we're proposing this amendment, but it's not going to benefit us in the long run, because you're going to end up with small parking spaces that we won't be able to fit a regular car in when all these small compact cars disappear.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sir?
Richard Nichols, 47 Grove Street, Chairman of the Planning Board. This proposal is to allow the developers to have the option of doing compact car spaces. We're not telling them they have to. If they decide that, hey, this doesn't work for us, then they don't have to do it. They do get, the space that's saved from that has to be used towards open space. It had brought up that people would be using that to try to stuff more vehicles into a parking lot. they could do that, but then obviously they'd be doing it at the risk of, if the cars don't fit, people are not gonna go there. So like, Dunkin' Donuts, if they made that all compact parking, the cars wouldn't fit, people wouldn't go there. So this is just an opportunity. A lot of other towns surroundings have this ability, and I don't know about market trends on cars and things, but the cars in Boston at least are getting smaller because their spaces are a lot tighter. So we just thought it'd be a good idea. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 23?
Excuse me, Madam Moderator, Steve McInnes, 78 Island Road.
Please speak into the microphone. I'm sorry, because I can't hear you. Sorry.
Steve McInnes,
Perfect, thank you.
78 Island Road. Can everybody hear me? Okay. If I go to Roach Brothers, let's say they have a group of compact cars, spaces, and I don't have a compact car, but the only space that's available is a compact car lot. And if I pull in and I manage to fit in, is that going to be a violation I could be ticketed for, or?
This is just regulations around the spots, correct? This is
Well-
not allowing a business to then make a determination or a public safety determination of whether
I
you're
think it's a fair question.
No, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm just saying this doesn't really.
So there's no answer. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Any further discussion of Article 23? Okay, this is also a 2/3 majority vote. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, can we try that one more time? All those in favor? Opposed?
Motion doesn't pass.
Motion doesn't, oh, sorry, what? I'm sorry. We're going to have to do a standing count on this now. Right. No, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay, so, I'm sorry. I apologize, my process issue. I need people that are voting yes on this to just stand up. I'm going to do a visual.
This would be it, because we started at 7:30, that would be. We've gone to 11. We have, yeah.
Now, you are all standing up in the affirmative. Are you standing or sitting, ma'am? Okay. Okay, so you can sit down now, and all those opposed, please stand up.
Just want to get this over.
Motion carries by the majority. No, 2/3, I'm sorry.
I want to try
We're
that
going to have to
again
do a
then.
standing count now. We'll have to have everyone, and the tellers will have to come out.
I'm more than willing to change my vote to whichever way it works. I'm absolutely indifferent on this. I can change my mind and stand if I need to. Yeah. But I will vote whichever gets me out here quickest. I can't feel my fingers anymore, Joyce.
My toes don't hurt anymore, they're numb.
So I'm going to ask that all those in favor of the amendment, not the amendment, excuse me, the motion, please stand and stay standing till you're counted. I'm not voting. Yeah, I know. I knew that.
I sort of do, but I'm just worried that people are going to dent my car.
Yeah.
You know? I'm the one that's always parked way in the back.
You should have told my husband.
I know.
I'm not a chop, no, a Tootsie Roll.
Yeah, but I've got like you know, like walrus around me, like you do. It's like, you know, I mean, I could go swimming, like.
I actually was in our pool the other day. It was only 58 degrees.
Were you, did you wear like a bikini in your backyard? Why?
Swimmers don't wear bikinis.
No, but I mean, you know.
No, I don't have a figure.
It's your yard.
No, still don't have a figure in my yard.
It's a-
No way.
Good for you, because you know, you never know. You're light skinned. You might color your eyes. See, like my husband, worst thing, the white blue. It's been nice knowing you. I'm glad I got to know you now.
Yeah.
Instead of picking pieces off of us. I know. I cremated my mom, but you still have to do the No, you still have to drain the fluids and everything. From that's how the Mortuary Association works with the state legislature. All these lobbyists, you know, they're saying it's the biggest waste of money. It's thousands of dollars.
Cowards.
I'm sorry, what? Okay. We can sit down now. Those who oppose the article, please stand. Don't tell your wife.
It's not being a farm. Just restricting me on everything. Trying to eke out a living. Yeah. Next thing you know, you won't be able to back your contact card. Say that 5 minutes.
Next year.
Hey, what do you got, a beard going on?
I know, I would never blame you. There's no way. I know.
Looks like this.
Looks like what?
Mischief.
Yes. Most definitely. I know. That's like the poets does. It's great. I love it. It's really pretty. although I get a little intimidated.
Once you're in the shade, forget it.
I know.
It's not 60, it's not 62 degrees.
There's no, lucky if it's 50.
It's just because I'm sitting around, like I just want to,
That's why I'm glad I can walk. I can move around.
well, I get up from over here and Doug left. Yeah, Doug was supposed to be doing these motions. Yeah. Like he was telling me about how much the others. I told him. He knows.
Although I love the food, I love to eat.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, because they're all over the house. Sheesh. I'm sorry.
One armchair.
Good, good. Not even my thing. My microphone is live again. Okay. I think we're almost there, folks. Okay, can everybody sit down?
Oh, you.
I think we needed to get 60s. More than 66 or something. So
Not
it doesn't
two-thirds.
pass.
It's not two-thirds. Doesn't pass, correct?
Right.
Sorry, the noes have it. The article does not pass.
You can say what it does if you want.
We had 60 yeses and 37 noes.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
I move
I'm
that
sorry.
the town vote to approve Article 24 as written in the warrant. Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Sorry.
Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berube.
this article amends the town zoning bylaws to allow for the establishment of businesses providing home delivery of cannabis products. Following approval of said businesses by the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, or CCC, as of September 2020, Millis cannot prohibit the establishment within Millis of cannabis delivery businesses. Any such businesses would be subject to extensive licensing and regulation requirements similar to other marijuana-related businesses. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
The Millis Planning Board on April 6, 2021, in a public meeting via Zoom, voted unanimously to recommend approval of this article as written to amend the zoning bylaw amendment, marijuana cannabis delivery. Any further discussion on Article 24? Sir?
I'm surprised. Is that better? Okay, Richard Nichols, 47 Grove Street, Chairman of the Planning Board. This article is put in place so we have the opportunity to manage delivery companies. If we don't put this in place, they can go anywhere. That's why we put it in place.
Any further discussion? This is a two-thirds majority vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carries by the two-thirds majority.
Article 25.
Ms. McGinnis.
I move the town vote to add the following language to the end of Section 26 of Article 5 of the General Bylaws, Permanent Building Committee. Quote, "All municipal inspection fees related to inspections of municipal and school projects which are under the general supervision and review of the Permanent Building Committee shall be waived. However, the actual costs of such inspections, if any, shall be borne by the project."
It's been moved and seconded. Article 25, discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. McGinnis.
this article will add a town bylaw waiving all building permit fees for town building construction projects. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 25? This is a simple majority. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Garzon.
I move that the town vote to authorize the sale by auction or sealed bids of a 0.94 acre parcel of land off Acorn Street, identified as parcel ID 003-0013 on map 33, lot 013, book 4405, page 585.
I need a second. Article 26 been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Garzon.
this article will authorize the town to sell a more or less 1 acre parcel of land off Acorn Street, identified behind 95 and 99 Acorn Street, which is not sited on a road and is only accessible via a right-of-way from the adjacent properties. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article, but we were not unanimous in recommending approval.
Madam Moderator?
Ms. McGinnis.
Madam Moderator, thank you for the opportunity to present the minority report. Finance Committee members Joyce Boyardi and Jim Borgman joined me in this minority report. If Article 26 is approved, it will authorize the Select Board to take action that could result in the sale of this property located off of Acorn Street. Voters should dismiss this article. There's no need to sell the Acorn Street property now. Let's investigate its worth and, as the primary consideration, what Millis could use this property for. We are not in desperate need for real estate taxes to be garnered from this sale. The assessment is approximately $6,000 or $7,000. There are too many unanswered questions that will allow neither you nor I to confidently support this most important article. I support dismissal until the Select Board, with the necessary assistance of the Planning Board consulting engineer, determines if and how this parcel will enhance the continued development of the area. Except for a purchaser, there is no gain to the town to authorize the sale today. Let's not give anyone permission to sell this property until its true value is publicly known. This parcel needs to remain in town ownership and perhaps sell when the need arises. There's no need now. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
I'm just going to make a clarification here. We're dealing with the article in front of us. We either voted up or we voted down. There is no motion to dismiss on the table. Sir.
Do this. George Yard, Acorn Street, okay? I agree with Ms. McGinnis. I think we should just table this, leave it alone, dismiss it, and, excuse me, not dismiss it, but vote it down. Property values are going up. We can use it down the road if we have to, and there's a lot of other things we can do with it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, I'm sorry.
Madam Moderator, Danielle Wainwright, 33 Spencer Street. Step forward. Oh,
Yeah,
sure,
please.
sorry.
Thank you, I couldn't hear you.
I agree with Mr. Yard and Ms. McGinnis as well. I, as a resident of Spencer Street, have seen the effects of the overgrowth of new homes on Acorn Street, and I would encourage the voters here to be aware of the effects of the overgrowth that we've had recently and how much has been displaced, I'm sorry, got a lot going on in my head, how many animals and wildlife have been displaced and how much the traffic has increased in that area, and to be aware of that when they make this vote, and just wait and see how that's going to affect the people and the abutters on that parcel of land, respectfully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir.
Madam Moderator, Bruce Kenreggy, 7 Blueberry Lane. since we're in a land management business and developing land now as a town, I think we need a lot more information about this property before we decide to have an auction on it. So I think things that I brought up before about appraisals and other things need to be done. So I would recommend that we vote this down. Thank you.
Sir?
Can a motion be made to, Kevin McCarthy, Exchange Street, can a motion be made to dismiss this from the floor?
No, they cannot. We need to vote on the article up or down. Voting it down, in essence, dismisses it. Ma'am?
Joyce Boyardi, 206 Orchard Street. The town is always looking for extra money, and right now my feeling is this is a piece of property that is a commodity. Let's keep it, let's see what we can get for it, and no closed bidding. That's just my take.
Thank you. Any further discussion of Article 26? This is again a 2/3 majority vote needed. All those in favor of Article 26, please say yes. All those opposed? No. Article does not carry.
Madam Moderator.
Ms. Garzon.
I move that the town vote to authorize the Select Board to enter into a payment in lieu of taxes agreement, so-called PILOT, with Select Energy Development LLC pursuant to the provisions of General Law, Chapter 59, Section 38HB, or any other enabling authority for a period of up to 20 years in relation to a 215.67 kilowatt DC, 166.6 kilowatt AC solar array to be located on the Clyde F. Brown Elementary School at 7 Park Road, and further, to authorize the Select Board to take any actions and execute any other documents or ancillary agreements necessary, convenient, or appropriate to accomplish the foregoing, and to implement and administer the pilot agreement, all of which agreements and documents shall be on such terms and conditions and for such consideration as the Select Board deems in the best interest of the town.
Second. Article 27 has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator.
Ms. Garzon.
This article would authorize the Select Board to enter into a payment in lieu of taxes agreement. That's where the PILOT or pilot agreement comes from, with Select Energy. This would allow Select to make annual payments of $6,784 over 20 years instead of paying personal property taxes every year on the declining value of solar panels to be installed at the new Clyde Brown School. Without a pilot agreement in place in the beginning years of the installation of the solar panels, the town would be receiving more taxes, and in the end years, it would be receiving lower. So this evens out the stream of payments to the town over 20 years. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 27? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes by simple majority.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Tu.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $5,000 for Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement services.
Second.
It's been moved, Article 28's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Tu.
this is an annual article to contract with a third party to maximize the reimbursement from Medicare and Medicaid. We typically recover well over the cost of the service.
Any further discussion of Article 28? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator.
Ms. Garzon.
I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $7,700 for the unemployment insurance fund.
Second.
Article 29's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Madam Moderator.
Ms. Garzon.
This article will fund the town's unemployment insurance fund. The town sets aside funds every few years from which to pay any unemployment insurance claims that arise from former town employees. This article will replenish the fund and should provide enough to cover any fiscal year 2021 claims. The Finance Committee recommends approval of this article.
Any further discussion of Article 29? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes with a simple majority.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Garzon.
I move that the town vote to dismiss Article 30.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to dismiss Article 30. Discussion?
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Garzon.
this article would add funds to the other post-employment benefits funds. Currently, the town is covering claims as needed out of the general operating budget, but it should be setting aside additional funds for future OPEB obligations. The Finance Committee recommends dismissal of this article due to lack of funds at this time.
Any further discussion of Article 30? All those in favor of dismissal, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Article is dismissed by simple majority.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Garzon.
I move that the town vote to dismiss Article 31.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to dismiss Article 31. Further discussion.
Madam Moderator,
Ms. Garzon.
the town of Millis has adopted a policy to maintain a stabilization fund equal to 5% of its annual general fund budget expenditures to be used for unforeseen and emergency purposes. Currently, the fund is above 5%, and therefore the Finance Committee recommends dismissal of this article.
Any further discussion of the dismissal of Article 31? Mr. Angelo, we can just be, okay, thank you. All those in favor of dismissing Article 31? Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Madam Moderator.
Madam Moderator?
Madam Moderator.
Motion to adjourn?
Madam Moderator.
Mr. Angelo.
Jim Angelo, 34 Lavender Street. I stand to propose that we recall Article 20.
See, I said motion first, Madam Chair.
Okay, one moment, please.
Now, I was at the mic.
Yeah,
She had already
I
said.
had already said that. I was at the mic also, with all due respect.
I should give you your mic back. There is no point, yeah. There's no point.
Oh,
Sorry. I even do that. Watch her.
Okay, sir?
Yep.
We need to know whether you are on the opposite side of the issue and if you have new information to bring to the discussion.
I'm against Article 20, and I believe it's going to raise everybody's property tax level.
So that's not new information.
And I would think that that over the years, it's going to cost us more than we can get back from the property or the sale of the land.
Asking our town council, Jay Tallerman, to the mic.
So we don't have any local rules on reconsideration, but the rules in the parliamentary guide that we do use in Millis require that reconsideration be only moved by someone who is on the prevailing side, not on the failing side. So it wouldn't be able to be brought up in that context.
I've been coming to these meetings a long time, and that's not the way it's been in the past.
Well, it's the moderator's call, certainly, as she runs the meeting, so it's up to her. This is the treatise we use, though.
People have recalled
Excuse me,
articles
sir?
in, well,
Sir?
Madam Moderator.
We are going by the town meeting guide that we use.
People have recalled articles in the past and have
Sir.
always been on the opposite side. And I've been coming to town meetings since I was 18 years old.
I understand.
And,
I am deferring to the rules as they're written in this situation.
There's another element, I'm a moderator as well, there's another element to it, that motions for reconsideration are generally considered in a reasonable amount of time to afford the same voting populace to be here. There's less than,
They've always been considered at the end of our meeting.
I don't recall that ever.
You haven't been here long enough.
I've been here for a really long time, actually. So.
No, you haven't been.
Sir, the ruling that I have chosen to make here is that this is not in order.
Madam Moderator,
Mr. Berubin.
move to adjourn.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.